welcome everyone. My name is Amos Joseph. Welcome to the live stream tonight, guys. This is the live stream for my birthday today. Figured I'd have one for a couple hours. Probably gonna go till it's about a little after 8 o'clock right now, Central Time. Probably gonna go till about maybe 10:30, 11 o'clock, depending upon how things go. So yeah, let's see here. Um, Not quite the I guess you could say the rousing start that a lot that um maybe I was planning for. Uh but let's see here. We got some people that we're gonna have on. Let's see here. Excuse me. Let's see here. Looks like we already got some viewers. Let's see here. All right. All right, everyone. Like I said, a little bit of a slow start for now. And now, if you guys are either in the chat or watching the show and you do want to join, you guys can either just let me know, send me a message, or either on whatever social media you guys are using, whether that be, excuse me, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. I can send you guys the link. I already sent the link out to a few people. Whoop. So, let's see here. We'll see when people start to join on in. I think I got a couple people watching so far. Let me also put this out on the Facebook page. Bum, 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 bum. Whoop. What do we got? No, we already got some replies from the messages I'm sending out. Whoop, we don't want that. We don't want that. All right. Like I said, everyone, it's going to be a little bit of a slow start for the time being. Join me. Let me know if you guys join. Whoop. go. Boy, this is tricky to navigate. Okay. DM'd you the link on. Oh. Well. RC, okay. Hey, Brian, how's it going? Yes, I am live, Brian. Yeah, so I'm doing a stream, like a couple hours. It's just an improv. No, Brooke is not here, Brian. Brooke is actually in the UK sleeping, so this is a solo stream. It's just gonna be me. We're doing a stream for my birthday. We're gonna do for a couple hours, so it's about it was just 8 o'clock p.m. for me, and we're gonna go till about 10:30, 11 o'clock. So like 2.5, maybe 3 hours, depending upon how things pan out. So yeah, it's a couple of people that I've been in contact with over the couple years have done this before, where they do like a stream where they just have, whether it's former guests, friends of the show, whatever they're doing, just to have them on to like talk about just about anything, really. Let's see. Yeah. But so far, not really any. I mean, we definitely got a lot. I got a couple of viewers, which is good. But not much going on so far. So, because I've added people. Oh, what is this doing? Okay, that didn't do anything. I've sent out the link to a few people to join, just to hop on and have a conversation, just chit chat, see where things go. Yeah, just see what you put on there, Brian. What's going on with New York and their crazy laws? What kind of laws are they trying to get on the books? Let's see. Laws today. What?
They can't get us.
Hey, what's going on?
Hello.
Hey,
How's it going? You guys are the first one to join.
and happy birthday.
Yeah. I figured I'd take an idea from you guys. Everyone does these birthday streams, so I figured I'd do one.
Glad that you're taking our ideas.
Speaking of which, what are your thoughts on intellectual property? No, I'm just kidding.
Depends on who you ask.
Exactly. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good, but I'm sick, so my voice might sound weird, more nasally.
I mean, it's already too late. You guys, us being Hapas, we don't quite sound white or Asian.
That's true. We just I don't know. I don't know. I don't like my voice anyway. So then me being sick makes me really not like my voice.
What are you guys up to tonight?
Doing a lot of errands and food prepping.
Yeah.
Food prep. Oh, you guys are doing like meal prepping and stuff?
Well, mostly me, but like so yesterday we were on a stream, so I didn't have time to food prep. So I usually do everything on Sundays, so I had to do it all today. So
Oh.
yeah.
What do you cook? What did you cook?
I mostly cooked like breakfast stuff. So I made like a whole bunch of potatoes, like a lot of roasted potatoes, lots and lots of bacon, and then I cut up a bunch of vegetables and stuff, and made some bone broth soup.
Okay, let's see. Oh, did you guys will probably talk about this. So I got someone in the chat. They're talking about apparently if you call someone an illegal immigrant, you can get fined for that in New York.
Yeah, it's up to $250,000 fine.
Yeah, have you guys talked about that yet? Your show?
No, but
No, probably
will.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What is this? New York.
Of course, if you do it in a hateful way, So if you do it in a lovely way, it's not too bad. Oh, look at that lovely illegal immigrant or illegal alien, so lovely.
Now
No fine.
But now you sound sarcastic. So is that implying hate?
Right.
Brian in the chat. Yeah, this is Shane and Nico. They have the show known as What's Happening. When do you get? I'll do a little plug, guys. When do you guys record and when does it come out? Usually.
Usually we stream Monday or Tuesday. It kind of just depends on how our schedule works, but it's a weekly show, so we try to do it.
Okay.
On those 2 days.
Yeah, and then the podcast form always shows up on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Hello, Crystal.
Wednesday, Thursday.
Hi, happy birthday!
Hola.
Hola. I wasn't here sooner, but with my luck, I had something drop on my foot as I was cleaning up and getting set up.
Oh, okay.
Oh no.
And like Nico, I'm a touch sick as well. So
Jeez, everyone's sick.
Everybody's sick.
It's always around. I guess it's around your regular like seasonal shift between summer and fall or whatever. It's people are kind of getting sick.
The thing that doesn't make sense though is like right now here in Texas, it's like still in the 90s, so it's basically still summer here. So I don't know why I'm sick.
So for me, it's because we just got back from traveling.
Oh, you know what? Maybe that's why I just
You're
got back from
right.
traveling too.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we just mentioned real quick. So New York is saying if you call someone an illegal alien out of hate, there's a $250,000 fine.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Isn't that fun?
But what if it's a literal alien? Like it's a literal Like what if it's the future? We can all own aliens as like pets, and then someone like stole an alien. That's like a illegal alien, right? So it's like, come on now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, but how could you hatefully like call out a crime? I mean, regardless of what you think about borders or immigration, I mean, it's just weird.
A lot of things are weird nowadays.
Oh, if you misgender someone in New York, it's the same fine too.
Yeah, that I knew. That's been stated for a while now.
Any goofy laws in Texas, you guys?
I don't know. Let me go look them up.
The only one that I know on the top of my head is that you can openly carry a sword.
Oh, yeah,
That's
that's
the only
good.
one I can think of.
Ooh.
Wait, is that? Oh, it's legal to open carry a sword.
Yeah. So you can be like Leonardo, the Ninja Turtle.
Right. Huh. Now, Here's a nice controversial topic. Anyone hear about how there's all this fear around the premiere of the Joker movie?
Um,
Oh,
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know why.
I feel like
So
okay.
the fear is there's this like narrative being peddled by the media that the Joker is some sort of like an incel because of the like rejection he keeps getting, and like the movie portrays the Joker to be someone constantly getting rejected for things, and sort of all this rejection builds up to a point where he's basically like had enough, so he retaliates, so he becomes the Joker. So the narrative is now, oh, that's like incels, but if you look at like what incels believe in, and you look at like incels are basically like men who are struggling to like find a woman, and then they like get they keep getting rejected by women, and eventually they hate women for it. But apparently in the movie, the Joker has no problem with women. It's his problem is with society as a whole. Like, I think, what was it, like a lot of backstories like tie together that the Joker basically was like trying to be a comedian because no one took him seriously and everyone thought he was weird. Yeah, so.
Well, isn't this like the kind of movie that they've been wanting for a long time, or something? I don't know. I'm not really 100% sure on the whole Joker backstory or whatever. So, to me, it doesn't even really seem like, I don't even know why they even want a Joker backstory movie to begin with, because I don't know. Maybe there's a comic that they did that whole backstory or something. I have no idea, so I'm completely clueless on that. But like for me, like the perfect Joker was The Dark Knight, in my opinion. It's like, I don't know.
I mean, there's some of the like the animated Batman shows. They would show like hints at the Joker's backstory.
Yeah.
So the fact that he was trying to be a comedian, and people never really liked his jokes, and he was kind of offbeat, and then something happened with his wife or something, and basically lost his mind and turned into the Joker.
See, I'm actually surprised that's the media take on it, because when you first said, did you guys hear about what's been going on with the whole Joker movie? I'm like, oh, are people nervous because of what happened with the Batman movie? Someone,
right?
I was like, okay, and so it's like, I'm like, oh, is that where it's going? Because if so, I understand and whatnot. But then it's like you describe it's this whole thing, and I'm like, wait, what? But
yeah, so they're kind of like they're trying to tie it all together between like incels, white terrorism, and then of course they're fearing like someone is probably going to try to shoot up a theater or something, and it's like, yeah. And of course, yeah, the whole thing with the Batman movie, like they're thinking there's gonna be a shooting like that, and it's like, oh man.
Yeah. Now, see, my biggest gripe with the Joker movie is the fact that they gave Joker a huge backstory when, at least for me, I don't know about you two, but for me, what makes the Joker the most intriguing is that you don't know for sure what his backstory is.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of the comic name, but I think it's one of the comics that discusses the whole like Red Hood backstory idea, where it's like it was like this whole entire comic where it was like it's like about how the Joker, like he was married with a wife or not and whatnot, but he lost all that, so then he became like this Red Hood because he was forced to, and he fell into a vat of acid, and that's how it can be. But it's like at the end of the comic book, Joker said something along the lines of like, oh, that's what you think that's the real story, or something like the lines where it's like, oh, so you still don't know. We were given this whole thing, but we still don't know because the Joker could be lying.
Yeah, like no one actually knows what the Joker's name is.
Yeah.
He's had names, but no one knows like what it really is. But
Yeah.
huh.
Yeah.
It actually sounds better to talk about the illegal aliens, I think, than the Joker movie. I'm just kidding. Let's see. So what's going on with you, Crystal? We're just kind of going along with whatever everyone's got going on.
I don't even know what to tell you because anything I can think of is negative, and I don't want to make the stream negative.
Okay.
Oh no, you froze.
Hello.
Oh, there you are.
There we go. Yeah. Seems like the news has a lot of negativity.
Yeah.
I could bring up impeachment.
Oh boy.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
trying to think of something positive that we could.
Okay.
Spider-Man's back in the MCU.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, that was I didn't all I heard it was it happened. I don't know what exactly they did to like work that out. Let's see here.
What I heard was that Disney is contributing more money towards the films, but instead of getting 50% of the cut, they're getting 25%, which is still more than the 5% they originally were getting.
Okay.
That's the last I heard. I don't really know too much about it. Yeah.
Let's see here. It's funny. All I think about with the news is all the negative stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very.
Greta Thunberg. No?
Oh, boy.
I just feel bad about that whole situation.
Yeah, I saw something that was kind of interesting. There was a video clip going around of her without her script. It was her on like a Q&A panel, and she just wasn't really sounding as serious, you know.
Oh, really?
How dare you? There was like so when she was speaking, she was part of like a group of like 16-year-old climate activists or whatever, and she sat in a panel and they tried talking to her, and she could talk just fine. It's just she wasn't as
Charismatic?
no, not well. She wasn't as good of an orator as she was in her speech. Like her whole thing that she did made her go viral was all rehearsed, practiced, and coached and everything. And then she tried talking behind a regular just Q&A panel, and she wasn't really making sense. And then halfway through, she's like, "What's the question again?" You know.
Wow.
I mean, she even admitted to being, you know, autistic and even mentally. This got people in trouble, but she actually said she struggled with mental illness, and people who called her out on that like got in a lot of trouble. Anyone who like addressed that fact.
See, that's where I actually feel bad for her because it's like, okay, so she's autistic and she's dealing with what I heard Josie say it was anxiety and depression.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine what kind of stress she goes through for being in the world stage like that.
Well, I'm more so like, who allowed her to be thrusted into this? Because like people, especially her parents, have to know being in that position. She might get a lot of positive from people who agree with her and support her, but she's gonna get how much negative from those who don't. So part of me is kind of like, are you insane for putting her in that position?
It's funny. They so a lot of people, rightly so, called out the whole thing as, you know, politicizing a child, using children to manipulate people's feelings. Like, oh, look at the children. So but what was even funnier was I saw this meme. It said, Fox News comes out and says, how dare the left use children to manipulate and peddle their like political ideas. And then they showed a screenshot of Fox News. Here we are interviewing the world's youngest Trump supporter in his MAGA hat.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
That was pretty good.
It seems like there's a kid for every issue, though, right? There's kids for the gun control issue. There's kids for change.
Babylon Bee did an article.
Yeah.
Babylon Bee did an article that said the next Democratic debate, every candidate will have a child to use as a shield when having debates.
Oh, that'd be good then. Like whoever the Democrat candidate becomes, and then Trump takes the kid that mowed the White House lawn, and he'll use that kid as his shield.
Like Andrew Yang will have a little Asian kid.
Beto. Well,
Beto would have like a racially ambiguous Spanish-speaking kid.
No, he'll have a furry kid.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's gonna be a kid in a fursuit or something.
Oh, jeez. Is Beto a furry or something?
Maybe.
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
wait, now I feel like I vaguely recall hearing that and remember thinking, I wish I had never heard this. Like, I did not need to know.
Beto's a furry.
Everybody. But, yeah.
Surprisingly, this election is not too crazy yet.
No, not yet.
I mean, they just said they were coming for all our guns, so it's not that bad yet.
Yeah, not too crazy.
Not too crazy. How crazy do you guys think it'll get?
It's gonna be bad in 2020.
I think once whoever the nominee becomes, and then it's Trump, I think that's when it's going to get really crazy.
Yeah. Most likely.
Now, are there debates for the Republicans?
Yes, there was one between Bill Weld and Joe Walsh.
Yeah, a couple days ago.
Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Did Trump even participate?
No. Business Insider was moderating it.
And I'm guessing they're both like, they were both focused on Trump. Is that what was happening?
A little bit. It was actually more on the issues or whatever. But Joe Walsh used to be a massive Trump supporter. Well, in face value, Trump supporter. And then Bill Weld was, as if you're a libertarian, he was a vice presidential nominee back in 2016. So now he's running as a Republican. So there you go.
Now, did I hear that Salwork was like saying people should vote for him or something?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he did say that, but I'm sure he had.
Jeez.
Wait, in 2020?
Well, I
Yeah.
don't know, 2020, but
I thought I heard something somewhere about Nicholas Salwork, basically. So for everyone watching, Nicholas Salwork is the Libertarian National Committee chairman.
yeah.
Basically one of the head people in the Libertarian Party. And he's been like, let's just say not very libertarian in his political views. No, I shouldn't say political views. And more so his commentary on political candidates. And then
I think his focus is different than some other libertarians would say, I suppose, because
Salwork?
yeah, Salwork.
Well, he did say his number one issue is the drug war and racism, right?
Yeah, drug war for sure. Yeah.
I mean, drug war is an actual concrete issue he can get behind, whereas racism is such a vague concept. Like, what about it? What laws do you want to tackle? What actual issues do you want to hit on? Or is it just more...
Well, he said it was kind of tied into the drug war.
Yeah.
Oh, racism surrounding okay, so
Yeah.
people tackling. Okay. I mean, how would you go about that though? What laws would you have to go around? Do you have to reform the DEA? Do you have to take some drugs off Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 or something? Well,
I don't know. That'd be a good question for Nicholas Sarwark to answer. To kind of know where he stands on that, because I don't know.
Yeah, he never went into specifics.
Huh. How's it going, Corey?
Hey, what's going on, peeps?
So, everyone, this is another guest we had on our show. He goes by Conk. Same Corey, though. Well, just call him Conk. Yeah, how's it going, Corey?
Oh yeah, I'm alive and well. Rich's show just ended. It was pretty good. I had a good little 20-minute spiel on it, so it was good fun.
We were just talking about
Drugs. Is that
the drug war. I mean, we're still talking a lot about some of the political stuff. Trying not to get too negative here, but there's a lot of pretty interesting news.
I have a lot to say because I am a substance abuse counselor. So,
ooh,
so yeah, I got the inside scoop on how horrible it is. Yeah.
What on how horrible the drug war is?
Yeah, the fact that it's so my parent company. I'm kind of like an independent contractor, like an Uber driver or DoorDash driver, where you're kind of working on your own, even though you have a parent company. I do that for substance abuse counseling and social work type stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and so I see a lot of that, and so our company's set into two groups: the mental health side and the substance abuse side. And it's funny, I actually got my brother a job on the mental health side. Well, I've been working on the substance abuse side for a while, and they are night and day different because I'm dealing with people fresh out of jail, and they have probation officers and court hearings and all of that shit that he doesn't have to deal with. You know what I mean?
Right.
So my job is 8 times worse than his, even though it's the same pay and the same job, essentially. Yeah. And the legality of it from a politics standpoint and from talking to the guys one-on-one, it's stifling. You have so many hoops you have to jump through to try to be a normal civilian again. It's unnecessary. You're kind of set up to fail.
Yeah, and sometimes would you agree then that some of the drug charges they're on are just pretty much inconsequential? Whatever drug they were on, you could probably tell that they're not actually some sort of substance abuser. Or do you deal specifically with people who are have their life completely overrun by drugs?
Oh yeah, one of my main topics, or one of my main job descriptions is OUD clinics, which is opioid inpatient. So I'm an outpatient counselor, but if they have opiates, 90% of the time they're going into inpatient rehab, right? So
right.
Yeah, that is probably one of the most debilitating things of all time, way worse than meth. So.
But you're not getting people that were thrown into jail on marijuana charges, are you?
Yeah, I have one client that was, but he was also dealing. So he had both.
Did it actually affect them though? For us knowing what weed really does, it's not really messing you up that much, unless you're
yeah. Obviously he has his own issues, but the whole criminality of it, because basically what happens is once you get out of jail, you have your probation officer, and when you have a felony record, it's really hard to get a job again. And not only is it just normally hard to get a job, but you have mandatory court hearings, and you have mandatory probation officer visits, and you have mandatory classes that you have to take and pay for. So not only do you have to find a job, you have to find a job to pay for the classes that are mandatory, or they put you back in jail. But you have to have a job that works around your probation schedule that's just 3 or 4 times a week at random times during the day. So they set you up for failure.
That sounds impossible.
Yeah, half of my job is job hunting for other people. If they're fresh out of jail, I have some clients that have never had a record. They're just trying to quit, like alcoholics that didn't get DUIs or anything. I have quite a few of those where we're just dealing with the actual treatment. But if they're out of jail and they have a probation officer, that's my full-time job with them, is getting them to jump through all of the impossible hoops to try to keep them out of jail as long as I can. Like, I don't even have time to talk about substance abuse and addiction. Yeah.
Man.
It's the epitome of horseshit. So, like, and I can't do anything about it, and I can't say anything negative about it when I'm, like, on the clock. So I kind of go, like, yeah, this sucks ass, man, and there's a lot of hoops. Let's jump through as many as we can. That's all I can really do. Yeah.
You kind of like, you ever watch The Incredibles?
Yeah.
You remember when he's like, so he's working in the insurance business and he's talking to the lady and he's like, okay, you're going to have to go through this and get this paperwork and do this.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You kind of do that?
Yeah. Like, and a lot of times they'll put on additional stuff that's not like the minimum. Like, I have one lady that's 23. She's a single mom that's been clean off heroin for a while. But her probation officer is also requiring her to get a GED while she has 2 kids and has to pay for those classes and works full-time graveyard shifts at a gas station.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and if she doesn't get it within like 8 months of getting out of jail, she goes back to jail. And so yeah, they put all these ridiculous stipulations, the legal system, on addicts, and it kind of feels like just to get them back in. Like, some of them seem impossible.
I mean, it's always portrayed in movies and TV shows and stuff that like parole is a lot easier than it really is.
Oh no, there's one movie that was kind of close. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, it's fine. I mean, you always see movies where it's like, you meet with them like once a week, and it's just going over what you're doing, and you just got to make things work. And they always make it play out. Of course, like the guy who's on parole is like kind of making effort, but it's like in reality, it's like you either put forth maximum effort to make every requirement met, or you're just screwed. At least that's what it sounds like from what you're saying.
Yeah, it's pretty debilitating. It's like you're like parole, dealing with the probation and the court system is in itself an unpaid full-time job. On top of, you have to find one that fits with that schedule. On top of most of their classes and UA tests and all that stuff, you have to pay for, even though you can't get a job anyway. And they tell you just deal with it. So a lot of guys go into like construction or labor or anything like that with getting paid under the table just so they can stay above water.
Right. So you kind of have to work harder than the average citizen to really get back into the real world.
Yeah, it's pretty much impossible. Everybody's trying to find loopholes. Because if you did it completely by the book, everyone would just be back in jail again. So a lot of people are getting paid under the table, not legally, and stuff like that, just to pay for the classes and the random piss tests and all that.
Probably having to go back into some form of crime just to make ends meet.
It happens more than you think. I can't legally say a lot of what happens, but yeah. Which is one of the best parts of my job, is anytime a girl asks me what my job is, I have to say it's confidential. So that HIPAA life.
Wow, that's how many clients did you say you have again?
Right now I have 29.
Okay.
And I see about 10 to 15 a week. I'm supposed to see 25, but most guys are no call, no shows. So, and so you kind of just got to work with what you get. And that's a whole nother half, is like the mental health half. Most of those are voluntary, right? Where they want help and all that stuff. And the substance abuse is mandatory. So you get less than half that actually even want to be there, right? A lot of them just want to go back to living their life. You know what I mean? Very rarely do they go back into the full, gang drug dealing scene. They just want to go back to having a normal life, and they don't. And like, they see my job as just another hurdle, even though my job is meant to help them with all the other hurdles. So we get a lot of cancellations and no shows and ghosting us and stuff like that, even though we're trying to help. But to them, and I don't blame them, it's just another forced bureaucracy on them, so to speak.
Yay, America.
Yeah. The war on drugs is literally the worst.
I mean, do you see does what you do you like what you're required to do you see it actually help, or is a lot of it just would you like is a majority of it just kind of going through motions just to like fulfill requirements?
It's a case by case basis. You can't help somebody that doesn't want to be helped.
Right.
A lot of guys will just smile and nod to your face and then do literally nothing in between, because you have to give them homework. All right, sign up for this, and this, and then we'll meet again next week. And they'll do none of it, but they'll act super excited in front of your face, kind of thing, because they just don't want to do all this stuff. Even though the stuff I'm asking them to do is to help them through their probation process. So, and even stuff like some of them are homeless, and I'm helping them get into shelters and housing, and they won't even do that. Just because they don't want, it's that rebellion side where they don't want to be involved in anything really.
Right.
Yeah, I do have about, out of the 29, I'd say about 12 of them are relatively engaged and committed to trying to go through all of it without, and the other ones are a mix between faking it till you make it and just straight up ghosting. So.
Now, here's a touchy subject regarding all that is, and you obviously don't have to answer if you don't want to, is there racial bias in how your clients are selected?
Well, the jail system, like the legal system, doesn't care that much. Like everybody goes through the full shit gambit. But I would say, like within employees in my job, I can see some of it. We surprisingly have a lot of minority therapists. I don't know how you want to put it, but so like it's not on the therapist then, huh?
A therapist for minorities or a therapist to like help with being a minority?
No, they themselves are, Black, Hispanic, Indian. That's one of the big things with Indians now. Like they always get the stereotype that they're either doctors or IT support. So we get a lot of those doctors. Yeah, and they're all great. I love them all to death. But yeah, I can tell the other people that do my job, they kind of have like, especially if somebody's like homeless or really poor, I can tell some of my coworkers have that "ew, get away from me" mindset, just because the people are unhygienic against their will. So
okay.
I get a lot more of the grimy clients. I don't know how else to put it, because most of the other people don't want to work with them.
I'm actually surprised. So, no, actually, I probably shouldn't say that on air. Crap. What was I thinking about here? Now, are you allowed? I mean, so you're allowed. I mean, you yourself, you're allowed to say that you see the system is wrong and stuff. It's just when you're on the clock, you can't really say all that.
Yeah. There's I usually separate that from my clients. I'm like, here's Corey the counselor's opinion. Here's Corey the person's opinion, kind of thing, depending on who I'm talking to in the context and all that. So, but yeah, there's times where Corey the counselor definitely is at odds with Corey the person.
That's gotta be tough to work with.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of used to it. It's in general, social work and the mental health field and all that is very hard left SJW type, you know what I mean? So
do you have like pretty ideologically based material you have to go through with people?
Yes. Very. And so I kind of just try to hit the key points and put it in more reasonable language. But yeah, it's not like we're sitting there reading a booklet, but you have to go through something like over your first year, you have to do, so they have online trainings and they have live trainings where you actually have to drive an hour and a half to a specific, like their home base city. And you have to do 2 8-hour days of training, but you have to do that like 8 or 9 times in your first year of employment. And like 75% of that is very ideologically based. So The employee training's pretty extreme, but if you're good at smiling and nodding through that, you'll be okay. And,
Are you allowed to say what kind of like things are said, what points they hit on?
I'm not sure. So
Okay, we'll leave
I
it.
might
Then.
have to table that for later until I know for sure. 'Cause I don't want to get the axe. 'Cause I don't.
It's like a little thing. If this is a straight white male, say this. If this is it, no, I'm just kidding.
No, not exactly that, but it's in that realm
Oh boy.
of what is proper terms for people and what is proper things and when it's appropriate to say what to what specific type of person.
Right,
So,
right.
Yeah, they're very into identity politics, I guess.
Yay.
Yeah, good fun. But I want to hear from the other people. I just talked a lot.
I know. Shane and Ego, you guys there?
Yep.
Yeah, we're still here. We're just listening to him talk about his profession. It's a lot more crazy than I think a lot of people imagine.
Yeah.
Saying.
And I'll try to minimize my rants, even though that's hard. I talk like Rolo, so.
What do you guys think, Shane and Nico?
About what?
Any thoughts on what he was saying? Yeah, I know you guys said you were listening, but
well, it seems like they make it nearly impossible for people that are like in jail to come back into quote unquote normal society.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the way that it works, or at least it seems like it works, they make it nearly impossible for them to get back into that, to get back to normal life, I guess.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you agree with that or what.
Pretty much. I mean, that's what it seems like. Like I said earlier, like it's like you have to work twice as hard as a normal person, just contributes to society. Oh, I forgot. What's your dog's name again,
Dog
Corey?
has joined the chat.
Oh,
He doesn't have his own laptop yet, otherwise he'd have his own square. But
I forgot. What's his name again?
Bowser.
Bowser, that's right. he looks over like
he watches TV. He's very attentive, and he hates it.
What does he watch?
Whatever I'm watching, and he'll sit there and he'll watch it for like 15 minutes straight. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. Apparently, he's Bull Mastiff is his main breed, but he's a mix. And apparently, Bull Mastiffs are one of the few dog species, I guess, or breeds that can watch TV. Because most other dogs don't care, but he actually watches it. Apparently there's certain breeds that can register what's on the TV more than others, is what I read. Because I thought it was weird that he would actually watch TV.
Will he engage with the television?
Yeah, and he hates it. The beginning of the Netflix dun dun.
Oh yeah.
He jumps back in shock and awe every time.
You got to do like
the TV right now.
You got to do like a live stream or something, kind of showing like how he responds to like news.
Oh, yeah. This just in. The gender pay gap is closed, and Bowser is pissed.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and he smells terrible. You guys should be very happy you're not in this room. I got him from a farm like a month and a half ago, and he still smells like a farm. It won't go away. Hi, how you doing? Yeah.
You've also said you've been having some trouble with taking him out to.
Oh yeah,
go.
He won't poop in his own yard. I only poop in a graveyard, which is about a 30-minute walk away. So I got to do that twice a day.
Holy shit!
Yeah, literally.
Deadly shit.
Yeah, but he'll stand like this forever unless I push him off. So say bye, Bowser. He's heavy as hell. He's 146 pounds.
Speaking of watching things, have any of y'all seen Rocket Man?
Rocket Man?
Yeah.
Is that the Elton John movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've not seen it, but I know it exists.
What about?
So I don't know if that helps.
What about you, Amos?
I have not seen it. I mean, would you say it's as good, better, or not as good as Bohemian Rhapsody?
They somehow managed to make a movie about Elton John boring. Like I
What?
can't, like it's definitely not good, but it's like I can't even say it's bad because I was just bored. I couldn't even hate on the movie. I was just bored watching it. Like
Really?
yeah, it was like I've been talking to to Lucas and a writer friend of mine about it, and I'm just like, how did they manage to do this? I don't know how to, because honestly, the movie more so just felt like, oh hey, there's a cool Elton John song I like. That's awesome. Oh hey, another one.
And then there's no real like story really like captivating you in any way.
It's like there's a story of course because it's like his early years and whatnot and his battles with like addiction and whatnot. But it's like I feel like why it's boring is because they don't fully give the feeling or show the progression of it all. Do any of y'all mind spoilers?
Go for it. I don't
Elton
watch a lot
John
of
got-
Oscar bait, which is what I kind of feel like those were. But
Let me guess. Elton John got really famous, made a bunch of really good songs, and he did.
And he sucked the main dick.
Oh, gee.
God, what's next? The Titanic's gonna sink? Come on.
The best idea I have as to why it's boring, and I told this to my right friend, is that it's the film example of when you tell more than you show. Because in writing, there's this rule of show, don't tell. Like, instead of telling us that the guy's a killer, show like this hint and like this and that. Give us an image. And I think that's the fault of Rocketman because it's like the movie opens with Elton John in like his loud get up, like in a addiction meeting, and he's just like listing off everything he's got. Like, I've got drug addiction, sex addiction, like all these different things. And then it's like you don't even really see him get into the addictions. Like there was like one scene that really referenced the sex addiction along with like, oh, he woke up in bed naked. Like no one was with him. He just woke up in bed naked. Oh, and he woke up in bed naked again. Oh, and there's this weird hallucinogenic like daydream where it looks like an orgy, but people aren't having sex. It just looks like an orgy because of how like a club. And it's like you don't really see the sex addiction. I really do not remember them showing how he got involved in drugs. It's just all of a sudden he was addicted to them. Like one scene he wasn't on them, and then the next he has to take cocaine before he goes to perform. So it's like those kind of things. It's like they don't really show the progression of it. They just like, and then this happens. Oh, and then this happens. So it's like that's really what the movie really felt like for me.
So Bohemian Rhapsody was better.
Oh yeah.
It makes me wonder though how many celebrities do drugs like that and just like do all of them do it and only a couple are public about it? Like how much is the drug scene actually like put into celebrity and musician life?
I'd say a high 90%.
Yeah.
But yeah,
When you live that rock star lifestyle, you know.
Yeah, it reminds me of Wolf of Wall Street where everybody's on drugs all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like there's at least a glimpse of that in celebrity culture.
Yeah.
I just rewatched a clip from Wolf of Wall Street. It was the scene with Matthew McConaughey where they're in the restaurant.
Oh.
No, yeah, exactly. But I never really like fully listen and grasp to what he was saying, and he's like,
Those are rookie numbers.
no,
I say that a lot. You got to pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
no, not that.
I say that every day. Something stupid.
What, your clients?
Everybody. Yeah, especially my coworkers. They're like, man, I saw 3 people today. I'm like, 3 people? You got to pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
No, the part where he's talking about, so like he's talking to Leonardo DiCaprio, and he's telling him like, you just got to keep them buying. You got to keep them on the ride. Keep buying and keep buying. And he goes, well, but it's advantageous that like you and the client like make money, right? And he goes, no. Then it would be real. You have to keep peddling them the money, because you're not selling. You're just selling. What was it? It's it was like some word he made up. It's like it's floozy, it's a woozy, it's a woozy, it's a wazy, it's a whatever. It's a feeling. You want to keep them on the ride. You got to keep, once they invest and they buy, 2,000 shares of Microsoft, it's like, then it makes them a little money. Then you take those earnings and keep them on the ride, buy some more shares. Because the moment they are off the ride and they cash out, then it becomes real. So all you're doing is just peddling them the same thing over and over again so that you get cold hard cash. So it's about you getting the money. It's not about them getting the money, because they're fueling the machine. So really, they could get money if they cash out. So I heard that and I'm just like, that makes sense, and it sounds really scary, but at the same time, it's like that's kind of it was just an interesting way to kind of think about like capitalism and stuff. Like,
yeah, my first thought was that's kind of how the Federal Reserve works, right? Nobody's cashing out their $20 bill for gold.
I mean, South Park did a whole thing where Stan had to return the Margaritaville that his dad had. So he goes back to the store and he goes, hey, my dad like bought this Margaritaville and he doesn't want anymore. Can I return it? And they're like, no, you can't return it. Well, why? Because we put him on a payment plan, and the payment plan was bought up by this finance company. So you got to go talk to them. So he takes the Margaritaville and he goes there. Okay, can I sell the Margaritaville? Can I get the money back? Just whatever money he paid in, I want to get the money back. No, we can't. Yeah, it's this guy putting like lip balm on his lip. He goes, no, we can't. No. Well, why? Well, because we provide the product of Margaritaville payment plans, and then we bundle up those Margarita payment plans into Margaritaville payment plan securities, and we sell that on Wall Street. So you got to go talk to the guys on Wall Street. So he's carrying this giant like Margaritaville, and he takes it to Wall Street, and he goes, okay, so my dad bought this stupid ass Margaritaville, and now he's and he made a bunch of payments on it. He doesn't want it anymore, so he wants to sell it back. So I tried returning it to the store, and they said it was caught up in a payment plan that was bought up by a capital company that was then bundled up into security, and now you guys have it. So this like Wall Street stockbroker looks at him. Yeah, that makes sense. He goes, but actually, we don't actually have the securities anymore. The Federal Reserve bought it all up, and now they're like bailing. They're dealing with it. So he's like making it all the way. No, not the Federal Reserve. The Department of the Treasury. So he goes all the way there, and there's just like this big chamber in DC, and he walks over and he's like, tells him the whole thing, payment plan that was bought up by a company that was bundled in securities that was traded on Wall Street that now you guys apparently own because you bailed out that thing. And they're like, yeah, that makes sense. So they go inside and they're like, okay, we'll figure out the what the value is on this, like, and we'll give you your money back. They go in and you hear this like weird sounds. You hear like a chicken die for some reason. And they come out and there's like blood stain on one of them. And like, all right, we've determined on the chart that your Margaritaville is worth $95 trillion. He's like, that doesn't make any sense. He goes, what? Do you think it's worth more or less? No, it doesn't make sense. Why is it worth $95 trillion? He goes, well, it's not worth that. I mean, it's worth that, but we can't give you that money. So they go inside, and he sees there's this giant circular board with all these different options: bailout, bankrupt, like all these like financial options. So what they do is like there's a guy there, and he basically gets the news like, another insurance company is going belly up. What do we do? So they cut a chicken's head off. They throw the chicken into the circle and let it run around, and whatever it does, it chooses if they bail it out, if they,
That sounds about right.
a whole joke on basically the financial crisis.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not an economist, but I'm pretty sure a lot of that has to deal with the housing bubble crisis.
Oh yeah, it was like, the whole thing of buying things you don't own, and then how those bonds that were tied to that were wrapped around in the economy, and how like pretty much it's all tied up to the government, and the government just kind of did whatever to like bail out companies that they felt they wanted to, but
too big to fail.
Exactly.
That's what they told my mom, at least. But they bailed out my mom. There's a your mama joke somewhere in there.
Yeah, someone in the chat said, "And it's gone." It was that whole meme. We're going to take your $100 and put it in an international money market transaction, and it's gone. What? Boy, how did we get on that? We went from the drug war to
Rocket Man.
Rocket Man to the housing bubble.
So Bohemian Rhapsody was good.
Now, any movies that you guys are looking forward to watching? I think movies is a good topic to stick with.
It's not a movie, but I hated the idea of Disney Plus so much, and I just thought it was so stupid that there's another streaming option. And then the goddamn Mandalorian trailer came out, and now I have to buy it for a month. I'm so mad. Freaking Mandalorian trailer. How dare you be good? How dare you?
So is it following him? Which one is it following?
Nobody. It's an unnamed character. So Boba Fett and Jango Fett, they're Mandalorians,
right?
Which is kind of like its own race of humans. It's its own tribe. And they're kind of like the bounty hunter Viking tribe, right? And so the Mandalorian is following one guy that's like Boba and Jango Fett, but he's not them. But he wears the same type of armor and fighting style and weapons. And it's just him as a bounty hunter going around and killing people, essentially.
Does he encounter like Jedi or?
Probably. I don't know. But there's this really good, I think it's in the opening of the trailer, where it like zooms past his house and there's a bunch of stormtrooper heads on spikes. It's pretty badass.
So not all of them are like loyal to whatever the bad guys are, the Empire.
The bounty hunters are loyal to whoever pays them, which is usually the Empire or Jabba the Hutt. But yeah, they're not really loyal to anyone. And I mean, what's his face? Han Solo was kind of like that too, but because he originally got roped into the Rebels because somebody was paying him to retrieve Princess Leia, right? I could be wrong, but I think that's right.
Yeah.
With that version, yeah.
So, I mean, he's kind of in the same class. He just happened to be a good guy because the good guys hired him first.
Yeah.
And then he ended up just liking them and hanging out with them, I guess.
And Lando was pansexual, everybody.
Oh, good.
Oh, you didn't remember? You didn't hear about that in the Solo prequel? The Solo, a Star Wars story?
No, I wanted to watch it because it had Childish Gambino in it, but I never actually got to watch it.
It was revealed later as the movie was released. The writers actually just said, "Oh yeah, it's canon. He's pansexual," even though it's never mentioned in the story. Nothing in the movie about it. He's pansexual because we said so. Because
is that similar to Gay Gandalf?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
and how like it's like just spin the wheel with the Harry Potter characters. Which one's going to be gay?
Yeah, sounds about right. What's the end game of that? Are people going to buy more Harry Potter books now that Gandalf is gay? I'm just wondering what the end goal is for that.
You just said, are people going to buy more Harry Potter books because Gandalf is gay? You mean?
Yeah, same guy. Big magic white beard dude. Sorry, I meant Ganondorf. My bad.
Oh, jeez, completely wrong.
That's a deep cut. That's a deep cut.
Oh boy.
See, even but I can top y'all on this one. Did you hear that apparently because this apparently J.K. Rowling likes to share fun facts about Hogwarts and the whole world of it. Did you know that apparently before there was plumbing in the 18th century, the students just went wherever they stood and used magic to make it disappear?
Yeah, they used to poop in the hallways and then use magic to send it to another realm or something.
Hey, if I had the power, I'd do that. I just pure whatever.
Yeah.
Diaper change-o, that'd be my number one spell.
I mean, I think I said this before. Now, J.K. Rowling, tried her whole SJW thing, and she's, anti-racist, anti-Trump, and immigrants, and we got to let them all in, and everything's just all this peddling and peddling and peddling. And she's just such a virtuous person. Yet in her universe of Harry Potter, the bankers
all look like Jewish gnomes. Yeah.
The people who run the bank, if you guys remember from the movies and stuff, are pretty much
the Jewish yeah.
A caricature. It's like, where did that come from? Like, she's, everyone's like, everyone's all these, everyone's gay or pansexual or this and that. And then, someone said in the chat, goblins. They're like these goblin-looking people, and they're the bankers. It's like, that kind of just slipped right by. No one's gonna call that out. It's Anyway, what were you saying, Crystal? I realized I cut you off there.
No, it's okay. No, it just that whole fun fact about the bathroom scene. It annoyed my writer side and my history enthusiast side, because my writer side was like, okay, there's one, you did not develop your universe that much to have that fact, and second, why do we need to know that?
Exactly.
But like, what my history enthusiast side was like, okay, but before they had plumbing, there were things called chamber pots.
Right, magical chamber pots. Why couldn't they do that? Chamber pots
to poop into. Come on.
Chamber pots like, with portals in them.
Yeah, it's like you didn't need to.
Yeah, that almost sounds like it was like a Rick and Morty idea of like, oh, we just poop wherever and make it go away.
Now,
that doesn't sound like a Harry Potter thing.
Did you guys see the Kingsman prequel that's going to come out in February?
I saw you put it out the trailer, but I never watched the other one, so I'm not really involved in it.
I mean, Kingsman, the first one was really good. The second one was all right, but now they're doing like a prequel to kind of. Do you know the premise of the story, Corey?
I know it's it's like comic book mixed with James Bondy type.
It's they're an independent intelligence agency that kind of like saves the world. And they're called the Kingsmen because they're based in the UK. Part of their whole thing is like being gentlemen and like dressing nicely, kind of the whole manners and everything, but then they're also like, quote unquote super spies and whatever. And it's all independent. They're not run by any agency or anything. They just, some sort of like independent force for good. So the first movie is like you're following this guy. What's his name? It's the guy who plays Elton John. What's his name?
Taron Egerton.
Yeah. He plays some like rebel type of kid that basically becomes one of the Kingsmen, and you're like following him along as he like saves the world basically in his first mission. And then the second movie is like another mission involving they come across like a Kingsman equivalent in the US. What was it called again?
Amos?
Huh?
I don't mean to interrupt, but I just want to say that I'm going to be dipping out for now. So.
Okay. All right. Thanks for coming.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
No,
I
Yeah. Yep.
hope you all have a good
Whatever that
stream.
All right. Talk to you
All
later.
right.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you.
Yeah, there's like an American equivalent to the Kingsmen that they were working with. I forgot what they were called. They were called the what was it? The Statesman. That's right.
Oh yeah, the American version, right?
The American version. So the Kingsmen, Golden Circle. It was part of the title of the second one. Basically, the Kingsmen dealt with tailor. The Kingsmen were tailors who organized and created an intelligence agency. The Statesmen made whiskey. And that was their staple to like making money and also having an intelligence agency on the side.
That sounds good. Just like with moonshine, kept it old school.
Yeah. They kind of go into that and stuff because, like, you kind of learn about why the Kingsmen and the Statesmen were like connected and stuff. And then now, of course, the new one is going to be like the prequel to all of that. So
like how the UK was formed, kind of thing.
No. How the Kingsmen were? Yeah, the Kingsmen were formed. How they were like how they came to be. I think it's like pointing at like I think it's probably World War I is kind of like where in that universe where they like formed. A bunch of tailors get together and decide to form an intelligence agency.
Oh, yeah.
Any movies you guys are looking forward to, Shane and Nico?
For me, I'm looking forward to the Breaking Bad movie, El Camino.
Ooh.
I'm looking forward to that.
I haven't even heard of that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Gonna be on Netflix.
You've seen the show though, right, Corey?
Oh yeah, I binged it last year, so I was late to the party, but I liked it. And I saw the first season of Better Call Saul, but I didn't get through that yet.
So El Camino is basically it's following Jesse immediately after he escaped the neo-Nazis.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's called El Camino. Well, he was driving an El Camino, right? When he got out of there?
Believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Now, there was one of the trailers. Do you have any theories on who he was talking to in that one trailer? Shane?
I don't have any theories on that. I want to keep that completely a mystery.
They're just gonna wait.
It'd be a completely new character. Oh, it's some random person. Okay, great. But knowing them, it's gonna be some recurring character that
throwback.
At least expect, unless of course it's Walter White for some reason.
They said they're bringing back 10 characters from the show, which is surprising.
Well, Combo is going to be back, even though he literally got killed or something. So, Combo's back. Okay.
Combo? Which one is that one?
I think he was the pretzel filled with pizza cheese, or is that just the snack?
He was in Jesse's group, like with I can't remember the name at the top of my head, but he was in that group of friends that Jesse had. And he had
like whatever sneaky.
Oh, and they were selling meth to the rehab. Yeah.
Sneaky Pete. So it was the other guy that was
yeah. Sneaky Pete and the other one. I can't remember their names right now.
I saw him in the trailer though. Yeah. He was. I mean, what are they gonna do? Like try to? Because they were thinking about what's his name? Gus Hermantrout. Was that his name?
Mike.
Mike. That was Mike, not Gus. What was it? Oh, Gus Fring. I got them confused. Yeah, Mike. It's hinted that he probably died because they saw his body.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, of course, there's the whole Walter White thing. Gus obviously dead because they killed. Tuco died, right?
Tuco? Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, he died.
It's been a while.
I'm thinking, like, who's gonna like, because the only people that would be alive would be Walter's family, probably.
Maybe
So,
it was like Hank. even though he got killed too. Like, man, what are all these people coming back that are dead?
No. I mean, what if? I mean, maybe there could be something with Hank's wife, Walter's wife, and Walter's son.
I guarantee. I can't remember who he played, but he just had the Netflix special out. He's like in every show. Why can't I think of his name? It's not Louis C.K. Bill Burr. Bill Burr was in
Bill Burr's character.
And you know,
he's in like every Netflix special ever now. He's in The Mandalorian as a side character.
which is hilarious because he's
in The Mandalorian. I was watching a podcast with him, and he said he's in it.
Bill Burr in The Mandalorian?
Yeah, he's in The Mandalorian. Yeah.
Because he talks shit about Star Wars. I was late to the party. And I watched. I'm like, I don't get it. Why the fuck is it so popular? And now he's in the fucking Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, he was on the H3 podcast with Ethan Klein, old school YouTuber, and he was talking about Mandalorian for like 10 minutes.
What?
Yeah.
Does he say what kind of character he plays?
No, they said he's in the trailer, but I don't remember seeing him in the trailer.
Maybe
but it's probably going to be some side character for like 2 or 3 episodes. He's not going to be a main character, I don't think. He's not buff enough to do anything overly cool.
Comedy relief of some sort?
No, he was a serious character, apparently. I bet he's another like bounty hunter, but just not the main character.
He's kind of like when he was in Breaking Bad. He wasn't really the comic relief. He was just a character, which I thought was pretty good because, it's weird how a lot of these like comic, stand-up comics or these comedians or whatever, when they do dramatic stuff, they're always so good. I don't know what's going on, I don't know what it is. Like, did you see that trailer for that Adam Sandler movie where he's playing some kind of like drug? He's playing.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the character is, but
it's getting like really, really good reviews, and it's a purely serious role.
Yeah, that looks really good. Like, and I'll say this, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Adam Sandler would make a fucking awesome villain in some movie, and I don't know if he's gonna be a pure villain in this, but maybe an anti-hero or something. But I think he'd be a great villain in like whatever, like just some ruthless character because like in Reign Over Me, he's great. Punch Drunk Love, he's great. And then this, I mean, I don't know what the movie is going to hold, but
well, don't forget the ultimate classic, Hotel Transylvania 3: Summer Vacation.
Oh yeah, when he does comedies, you're just like, why? And then, but then when you watch him like act, he's just, I don't know what it is, but he's really good, I think.
Yeah, well, he said it on his Netflix special that he's actively trying. Like not trying at all for his comedies. He just wants to go on free vacations with his friends.
Uncut Gems, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
2019 American crime thriller, directed by screenplay. Yeah, it's just a purely serious role.
Kevin Garnett in it for some.
Howard Ratner, which is Adam Sandler's character, is a jewelry store owner and gambler must find a way to pay off its debts before it's too late. Yeah, Kevin Garnett as himself.
Yeah.
Who else? We really don't too many other. Eric Bogosian. The Weeknd as himself. What?
That was like another big thing. Oh my God, The Weeknd and Adam Sandler. What? In the same movie? Everyone was kind of talking.
I believe it's pronounced The Weeknd.
The Weeknd.
Yeah, I don't listen to a lot of hip hop, but I think for some reason I really like his music. I don't know why. It's got just the right amount of good.
Right.
That's my great describing skills of the day. It's got a lot of good.
It's got a lot of good.
A lot of good stuff in it. Any movies you're looking forward to, Nico?
I don't know. Like any movie that we watch is something that Shane looked up or found. So I don't know. Like whatever he's looking forward to, I guess I'm looking forward to.
This isn't a movie that I'm looking forward to because it's not like it's already out. But there's a movie that we watched, or a couple, and they're both horror movies. One is called Bone Tomahawk.
Oh.
I've heard of that.
It's a great movie. It's on.
Is that the cannibal movie?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've heard of
it too. So it's like a mixture of both. But most of the movie, you're like, this is a pretty good Western movie. About these characters and and how they're combining with each other and interacting, and then it becomes a cannibal movie. And you're like, oh, okay, this is what's going to be now. All right,
And that's the
interesting.
part when I left.
Yeah. And then a Netflix movie called Apostle.
Oh yeah, I have that in my list.
That movie is fucking great. If you like The Raid 1 and 2, the same guy did those movies, made that movie.
Apostle?
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it like a missionary that goes to a tribe, but all the tribes like sadistic?
Yes.
Something like that. Yeah. He's like trying to survive within the tribe while still being a missionary.
Yeah, he's trying to save, I think, his sister or something.
Yeah.
Bone Tomahawk Western horror movie? What?
Yeah. Kurt Russell's in it. It's really good. Matthew Fox. Sid Haig, who just passed away recently, is in it for like briefly, but he's in it too. And then who's it? David Arquette, Richard Jenkins, and I can't remember who else is in it, but Patrick Wilson from the Conjuring movies. He's in it too.
So I'm looking, I'm like, okay, it's just like some Western stuff and some things, and then all of a sudden cannibalistic savages, and then all of a sudden, whoa.
Well, it's funny because like the first scene is kind of like, oh, okay, it's like some cannibal stuff in there, but it's not like too bad, like, okay, I can kind of get through that. But then you don't really see much until about maybe there's like maybe 40, 30 minutes left in the film. That's when it gets like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the part where she's like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done with this movie.
It was a flop as a movie.
Right.
$1.8 million budget, box office 480,000. So
480,000, yeah. But the great movie. I mean, it's sad that was a flop or whatever, but it's a great movie. It found a home on Amazon Prime, I think, but it's great.
Thank you, Amazon.
And I would have never known about that movie unless it was if it wasn't for Red Letter Media and their recommendation for it. Read their review series is where I first saw it. I was like, oh, it's really good. I want to watch it.
Right. Huh.
So
what other movies are coming out though?
There's a fresh one that just came out for Netflix that I'm actually like. It's not the perfect movie, but it's definitely worth watching. Called In the Shadow of the Moon. It's a sci-fi serial killer movie about a girl who runs around in the 80s stabbing people, and it's like liquefying people's brains.
What?
They try to analyze it, and they don't know what it's from, and so it's this one like beat cop who's trying to be a detective. And he's trying to solve the case. He's like super addicted with it. And then out of nowhere, the girl disappears. They never catch her. And then 8 years, or it was like 8 or 9 years later, it happens again. The exact same chemical going around injecting people. And they have, I don't want to spoil too much, but yeah. And it's like, and then you start realizing every 9 years, this person comes back and starts killing more people with like this injection that nobody knows what it's made out of. And it's like a serial killer crime drama mixed with some sci-fi. And it's got a couple twist endings. And a couple of them you can kind of get ahead if you pay attention. But it's one of those movies where you have to watch it twice. Kind of like Fight Club, when you find out, spoilers, that Brad Pitt doesn't exist. And you have to go back and rewatch it, It's one of those kind of movies where you watch it and you go, well, that's trippy, and then you have to watch it again to try to see all the clues.
Kind of like The Sixth Sense. You're like, oh, he was dead the whole time. Okay, let me watch it and see. And like, oh, okay. Yeah,
it's definitely one of those movies. It's called In the Shadow of the Moon. And it's like a crime drama mixed with some trippy sci-fi twist ending stuff.
Oh.
It's only been out like less than a week, I think. I watched it a couple days ago.
Kevin Spacey.
It was definitely worth watching. And it's got some of that have you seen that trailer? MLD just went over it about the Cuck movie.
The Cuck movie. Oh, have you guys heard about this movie, Shane?
No.
There's a movie called Cuck.
Well, yeah, this movie has a little bit of that in it, like making fun of that incel population, but it's interesting. I don't want to give away a lot because it's definitely worth watching that movie.
No, there's a movie. So it's a crime drama movie. It's coming out this year. It's called Cuck, and it's basically following. I mean, what is he supposed to be? Some sort of MGTOW? Just, I mean, he's some guy that's basically kind of just struggling along, kind of the typical like being like, I don't know, just the average guy going along struggling with life, kind of not. And he's a white guy and all this, and then he basically goes on the internet and is exposed to a whole bunch of like alt-right stuff, and basically goes really hardcore. Am I getting that right, Corey?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much that. It sounds like a guy who's kind of black-pilled is how I would put it.
Yeah,
where
it's
he like just
basically
hates
following
everything,
a guy
kind of
getting
gets
blackpilled.
nihilistic, and then he meets like an alt-right kind of neo-Nazi thing. But the movie calls it the red pill community, not the incel alt-right community. So that's why some people are outraged about it, because the mainstream media likes to wrap all those up in one big bundle package like the housing bubble. So
well, yeah, you get yeah, it's all kind of wrapped around and messed up. Someone in the chat was just saying that, like, trying to also correct that, like, yeah, the Joker movie is being turned into something it never was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's if you guys, so Shane, if you guys watch the trailer, it's basically, white guy gets really pissed off, watches a bunch of videos on the internet and goes nuts, kind of thing.
Hey guys, we're gonna go ahead and go.
All right,
Yeah.
thanks for coming on, guys.
Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, happy
have
birthday.
a good one, peeps.
All right, have a good night, guys.
Yep, have a good night.
Peeps. Bowser says bye. He's right here.
All right, so now that we got rid of them, no.
Don't practice that maniacal laugh. Yeah.
Surprised we didn't. I thought it'd go a little longer because I invited quite a few people. Let's see here. I thought there was another guy coming on. Where are you? Yeah, I actually forgot about that movie, Cuck.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so weird. Yeah, I saw that and it was just, what in the hell? Oh, I type in the word cuck and I just get a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
You
gotta do like cuck trailer or something like that.
Well, no, I found a trailer, but it's just
Right.
I see like Ted Cruz cranks the cuck level up to 11 by the Young Turks. Cuckold trailer festival 2015. Loser Paul Ryan abandoned Trump, then came back like the cuck he is.
Oh, of course.
What the Cuck? The Walking Dead, season 9, episode 12. What? The Cuck Anthem. Oh boy. Let's see here.
He's back.
Bowser.
Hey, Bowser.
Hey. How old is he again?
1 year old. He's like a year and a month.
They get big, don't they?
Yeah.
How big are they when they're born?
Half grown. So they said he's probably going to get about 190, give or take.
How big are they when they're born usually?
Pretty small. They just have giant ass feet, and then they grow into the feet.
Like,
Not the legs themselves, but the paws are like bigger than their face when they're born, and they kind of grow into their paws. So if you want a big dog, you always want to check the paws on their babies, because the bigger the paw, the bigger they're going to grow into it. So
they're like hobbits when they're born.
Pretty much, very furry feet.
And you like did you buy him from like a shelter or where?
No, I got him about a month ago from a farm in like a little podunk town about 30 minutes from me. They had to rehome him because like they had his mom and dad, but he was their only dog that tried to eat all their chickens on the farm. They couldn't like out train his prey drive like they could with the other dogs. So I took him, and he was like $100 fee because they just got him shots and they wanted some of the reimbursement for it.
Right.
So yeah, it was if I had to get him at like a store or a breeder, it'd probably be like $800. So I got a steal. I mean, he's got some behavior problems, but he's pretty chill.
Right.
Yeah, you should hear him bark. It shakes my whole house. It's terrifying.
Huh.
Yeah.
Let's see here. What's going on here? History. I'm like pulling in. I'm like calling an audible here, like messaging people to see if they want to join up. Whoop! Did I lose you, Corey? Oh, that was weird.
Yeah, we got the baby DC disconnected.
Yeah, StreamYard's been kind of goofy with that today, especially. They just cut out like literally for like 10 seconds and it'll just come back on. Yeah, this I'm messaging a couple of people to see if they want to come on because I had a couple of people that I work with the Think Liberty, which is the website I write for. A couple people there that I've had on had on our show. Gonna have them on, talk about different things. So see where that goes. Now, you said you were on Rich's channel for like 20 minutes? Did a little chat.
Yeah, on before the train wreck. So I'm a moderator over there, and I kind of help manage the chat. I usually answer chat questions while they're doing the live questions. So,
what was the topic today?
The topic tonight was resilience, and it was originally resilience in like the sexual marketplace kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But a lot of our call-ins were just like resilience in general. People were asking about careers, business, like ex-wives, stuff like that. So we kind of hit it a little bit everywhere, not just sexual marketplace talk. So it was really productive. The two questions I brought up, I was talking to Rich and Sean before the broadcast, and they had me come back on and do it live for everybody because they thought it was beneficial. The first one was talking about the whole incel black pill MGTOW thing that Rule Zero is going on about. And the big thing for me that's like a big issue, like I think Aaron Clary said it best, like the traditional term MGTOW, like men going their own way, that applies to most people. You know what I mean? If you take it from that little term, but it's kind of been hijacked.
Well, I was listening to Masculine Geek the other day, and they were kind of touching on it. Basically, they talked about like apparently there's like, and it sounds kind of, I don't know the proper. It sounds a bit beta. Basically, there's two waves of MGTOW. There's like the old MGTOW, which was pretty open to like you weren't necessarily going your own way all the time. Like there were MGTOW guys of that group that would date, get in relationships, and possibly even get married. Like that was accepted. And now it's like a complete change to like complete, this is what the dolls and the actual going their own way, not involved with women,
abstaining from everything.
And then of course the modern incarnation of incels.
Well, I think it's because like what was it, the incel Reddit got banned, and so they all flocked to all the other channels like MGTOW and Red Pill. So,
and that's what sucks is like here we are, we're like, hey, we just like to improve our lives, be better men, understanding female nature, understanding kind of the realities of being a man in the world today, and we want to get in relationships, date women, be successful, possibly get married. We don't know, depends on the guy. But we incorporate like women are still part of the equation.
Yeah.
Where like MGTOWs and incels, it seems it's pretty removed from that.
Mm-hmm. And my main question was like, there's all of that rhetoric online right now, and like if you're an adult and you're doing that, like cool, whatever floats your boat, even though I think it's dumb. The problem is you have like 16, 17, 18-year-olds now claiming that they're incel black pill MGTOW. Right?
Yeah.
And they're checking out before they even started. And that's what pisses me off. Right? You're essentially, like on purpose or just vicariously, you're telling teenagers to check out of the marketplace. And I think that's nonsense. You're stifling potential before it even starts. And that's what pisses me off. So I was talking to them about like how do you help young kids that are like still in high school, college, or trying to check out and can't be resilient to the system.
That's the tricky thing now is a lot of the red pill is predominantly like guys in their late 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Yeah.
Probably divorced.
Yeah, most of them got burned by a wife,
And
they went MGTOW after that out of hate.
And yeah, or they went red pill and they're like trying to get back out there. And then now you got like 20-some-year-olds and even some late teens that are like trying to work their way back into things. And it's like there's not much I think at least that there's not much the red pill's really offering for them. I mean, I see there are guys that I know in Rich's group that we talk about that are young guys out there dating and stuff, but it's like a lot of the content that the red pill puts out is not really catered to them, I guess.
Yeah, I can see that. I think it kind of goes both ways. I think so this is one of my soapboxes I'm always on, is the difference between descriptive and prescriptive truth. And Rollo talks about it a lot, but nobody else really does. But I think it's one of the key points of really understanding any content, especially red pill, is descriptive truth is like just the straight, objective facts. Like, this is the way it is. And I talk about it like kind of like the rules of chess. Like, this is how a queen moves. This is how a pawn moves. This is how a knight moves. Like, it's not biased in any way. That's just the way it is, right? But when you get into prescriptive truth, which is like, you should do this, you should do that, that's subjective and up to the individual person, right? It's like a case-by-case basis. And like, and I think we talked about it a little bit before, my dog is licking my leg right now. It's really annoying. Sorry. But yeah, and so when people say like, no, you have to do this, and I'm like, well, that might apply for one or two people, but there's no way that applies to every man, right? A lot of people are in different stages of life and all of that. So, but the problem is like prescriptive truth, like, is important when you're a noob, right? You kind of need to do something, right? And I use the analogy, and I talk about this in my substance abuse groups too. I teach a lot of small groups for addicts for my job. And it's like when you're trying to change something and you just go, all right, I'm going to start going to the gym. And then you walk into the gym and you see all the machines and all the people and all the weights. Usually everyone's first gut reaction is like, oh crap, what did I get into? Your first thoughts are like kind of fear and confusion because you have no idea what the hell's going on, right? If you've never worked out before in your life. And so prescriptive truth is very good for when you're new, right? So what you do is you go talk to your friends that are fit, or you go online and get a course or a book or whatever the hell you want to start with that has an action plan, like do this 3 times a week and use these machines for this amount of reps. Right now, when you go into the gym, at least you have a game plan. You still might be confused and fearful about all the other machines that aren't on your program, but at least you get the hang of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the deeper you go into it, the more you're open to other ideas and alternatives and kind of making it your own thing. And so prescriptive truths are important for when you're starting out, but you got to realize it's not for everyone. And so like for mental health, like a prescription is, a script you get from a doctor, a medicine for a specific condition, right? And the reason it's subjective is because like, if we just said, oh, you have depression, every person who's ever been, if we said every person who has depression now must take 50 milligrams of Abilify, like that would cause chaos, right? Because it's a case-by-case basis.
Mm-hmm.
You can't make blanket statements like that. That it would do way more harm than good it would ever do. And like likewise with giving prescriptive advice to people in the red pill or to better their lives, you can't make blanket statements. It has to be a case-by-case basis. The dating advice you'd give to a 45-year-old that's recently divorce raped is not the same dating advice you'd give to a 20-year-old in college, right? They have very different, like all of the descriptive truths like the Rollo goes over, that apply, that's just generically, this is how men are, this is how women are, this is how they interact. You know what I mean? And like, that's the rules of chess. That's just the way it is. And then how you need to apply it to your life is up to the individual and like subjective prescriptions. Right. And so I think there is content out there for people in that age range that we were talking about, high school, college age, but just somebody has to make it, right? They either got to find the right thing that's talking to their demographic, or you got to read up on your own or trial and error. You know what I mean? So I think there is content out there. It's just not everyone's prescription is going to work for everyone.
What?
Yeah, because in the back of Rational Mail, there's the Iron Rules of Tomasi, and he has like these 9 rules you should always follow. Is that what he puts in the book? But talking to him in person, and he's talked about it on a show, like that they're not as iron as before. Like it's good advice, but it doesn't necessarily apply to everyone all the time.
They're like bronze.
Yeah, I call them the aluminum rules of Tomasi. They're very redundant.
Yeah. I saw there's a YouTube channel I follow. The guy went dark for like a full year. He was doing a lot of videos. You started seeing like he was doing some red pill type videos, and then he just put out a video today after being gone for a full year, narrated by Rollo Tomasi, which is actually pretty cool. Mm-hmm. It was actually on rule number 2, about not disclosing, like
your notch count.
You're not, yeah, like why that's important, and explaining like the different scenarios where that plays out, and so the channel's called All for the Sake of Victory, so it's AFSOV.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. I've seen random videos of it.
Yeah, Rollo like posted his stuff. What the heck is going on here? Okay. But yeah, he did. He put out some videos, and the guy talks about some game. He basically does like that. A lot of animation, so it's like narration with a lot of like the drawing stuff. Draws out like a point that he's doing and all that. So pretty cool. I saw that, and Rollo like put it like promoted it and plugged it, and it was through his channel. But yeah, it would seem that the red pill is appealing to like a lot of an older audience, is what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
It
makes sense when you have experience in the dating market, right?
How old are you again, Corey?
I'm 29.
That's right. You're only like 2 years older than me.
Take that. Respect your elders.
I mean, you're not. It's weird. It's like, you're not that much older, but like you and I would be considered young. I think
MLD is the youngest on Rule 0, and he's like 33 or 34. So,
well, Jack Napier put out there that like he's the youngest content creator in the sphere, and I'm like,
yeah, well, I think Jack Napier's 27 also, but
he's 28.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I barely know my own age. I had to think about it when Rich asked me earlier. I stopped counting after like 23 or 24.
I mean, you seem more mature than you like. And the way you are, the beard definitely makes you look older, and your voice too.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about shaving it yesterday. I'm glad I didn't yet. I was pulled the trigger out of boredom. But I actually have a brother that's 2 years older than me, but everybody thinks he's my younger brother, which is great, which gives me a lot of brownie points in the sibling war.
How tall are you?
I'm 6'3". Yeah, I'm not a small man by any means.
How much do you weigh?
It's 380.
Wow.
I'm gigantic.
Gigantic?
Yeah, my Spanish name was Blanco Gigante. White giant. I used to work in a Mexican church, and we gave each other weird names like that all the time. And I'd walk around in a luchador mask and challenge people.
Hey, Caitlin.
Caitlin.
Yes, we can't hear you. So you look on the bottom, there's the settings. It should show you like the ability to connect to your microphone.
Oh, if you go into the settings, pick the mic.
Well, now we're switched to a webcam.
So close.
But
yeah, I'm actually the smallest male in my family too, which is weird. So
what?
I grew up with small man's complex, even though I'm a mammoth compared to a normal human.
Wait, so you are actually the smallest, or you were the smallest?
No, I am the smallest.
6'3", 380 pounds, 6'4".
No, I'm 6'3".
6'3".
My
388.
brother, my dad, and my uncles are all 6'4" to 6'6". So I'm the short one.
I mean, not no doom and gloom, not to sound grim, but they know about like once you reach a certain footage, like
Yeah.
your life expectancy is affected.
Oh yeah, we're all big. Most of our males die in our 50s in our family.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I had my midlife crisis at 25. It was great.
Oh, still can't hear you.
Maybe you can just get a whiteboard and write it up. Or practice your miming.
It was actually funny. You were talking about well, we'll see. We'll see if Caitlin actually gets on, so we'll figure this out. But because you brought up a little bit about mental health, and I know she likes to kind of get into that stuff. But with your experience, that's definitely. Now, here's a question: did you get into like mental health and such? Like you were really interested in that, or was it just sort of like it happens? Like it just kind of played out that way.
Yeah, I would say it aired more and played out that way. So I got my bachelor's in theology and religion.
Right.
And before my bachelor's, I worked in 3 or 4 different churches, and I would just like go to school and work in church at the same time. And I got my bachelor's in religion to eventually be a pastor. But my first job out of college was actually a Christian social work, like residential program. And so it was like a ministry base for like youth and young adult behavioral health and mental health. So I worked there for a while, and I hated it so much because the Christian bureaucracy is always terrible, but there it was like 5 times terrible because they were very good at abusing their workers. We're like, because most Christian organizations don't have to report their. Can we hear it?
Can you hear it? Can we hear you? No.
No, not yet. I know what you said, but I couldn't hear it. There's definitely some potty words involved. But yeah, since most Christian organizations don't have to send the government their employment info, they can get away with a lot of illegal stuff.
Still nothing, Caitlin. You're running it through your headset, right? Oh, wait, you got your microphone there? Can you? I don't know what you're saying.
Does your headphone have a switch on the side? Maybe.
No.
I have headphones like that have a switch that mutes it on the side.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe the laptop is a built-in mic. That's what I'm using because I'm too lazy to set up my stuff.
Oh, here we go. Looked like it muted you, so computer's detecting something.
I'm done.
One sec. I'm going to unmute you. Can't unmute your guest. Their mic isn't connected. So you got to go into the settings again and make sure it's selected on the microphone.
I think we just take advantage of the situation and play charades. 3 words. Sounds like go fuck yourself. What?
Oh, no.
Maybe.
No. Weird. Huh. Let's see. Technical problem. Wait, do you have any other applications running in the background that's messing using the mic? No? You check the settings and it detects the mic? What? Yeah, because StreamYard is pretty user-friendly, so it should work.
So she said it's not detecting?
So when I try to unmute her, the StreamYard gives me an error saying can't unmute your guest. Their mic isn't connected.
No.
I mean, you could just like unplug everything and let it use the built-in mic. on the computer. Yeah, fuck it. That I could make out. Let's see here. Oh Jesus, that's a hefty meme. Sorry, I looked at a meme. There's a
Hang on.
I hear things. I
Hey.
hear things. Look at that.
I'm gonna try something. See if my
Okay.
mic will work.
okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
But
Yay.
I only hear it's your built-in mic. It's not your mic there. I think it has to do with this. I don't know. It's something. Your computer's messing with itself.
What about now?
There we go.
There we go. Perfect. So how you guys doing?
Good. We just had a couple different people on earlier. I was gonna try to go till like hopefully like 2.5 hours or something. Try to get as many people. I was gonna try to get Chris on. 'Cause
Oglesby?
he said he wanted to come on. And I guess he's announcing he's doing a YouTube channel.
Boom, boom, boom.
All right. It's about time. He's been talking about it for a while. So
Same.
But it was so this is Conk. He was one of our guests we had on, and he works with he's a social worker, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were talking. It was funny. Like just as I messaged you, he started bringing up things like mental health and stuff, and I thought, oh hey, Caitlin's talked about that before.
I'm a nutcase or what?
Exactly.
Yeah, this is an intervention. Can you please have it?
No, we had on some friends who we brought up the drug war, and then he was talking about like because he works with a lot of people and their like probation and stuff, specifically people who've like with drug offenses, and there's definitely not made to help people. Like you basically have to work twice as hard as a regular person does
Just to stay afloat.
just to stay afloat and get back into society after you're out.
Yeah, and it no wonder there's such a high recidivism rate.
Yeah, like you basically have to resort to some form of illegal activity in order to make ends meet.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard enough to live as it is. It's, hard enough to find and keep a job if you're already struggling, and then you add felonies on top of that, and it's like, yeah, let's just make it as hard as possible for people to, survive, and then, add in like 3 strikes laws and shit like that. Like people don't have a damn chance.
It's obviously capitalism's fault, though, right?
No, yeah, yeah, capitalism, the mysterious entity that is everyone's shit. You're just what? My phone. Capitalism is like this big boogeyman or whatever, and it's like it's just a economic system.
What? You're cutting out a bit. Do you have how good is your internet there, Caitlin?
It's not very good. I moved to Ohio and like my internet
that's
done.
Huh. Actually, wait. Am I able to do? No, I can't do that. Okay, never mind. No, what were we talking about, Corey? Oh, we were talking about like how you got into like becoming a social worker, because it wasn't really like it wasn't your main goal, was it?
No, yeah. My original goal was to either plant a church or just become a pastor, because most of my formative years. So yeah, I was a Christian until I was about 14 or 15, and then I was an atheist until I was 18 or 19, and then I went back to being a Christian out of spite.
Wow.
Well, I became a Christian out of spite. I talked about this on Masculine Geek a bit, but I was an atheist, and then I had Mormons come door to door to me when I moved to a new little city called Berthoud. And It's like a 1 square mile town. It's really tiny. But I was in Colorado, so we had like a grocery store, 2 gas stations, and 2 weed dispensaries. That was the whole town. And but we had Mormons
That's all
there.
you need, though.
Yeah, it was an interesting little town. And I was going to community college at the time, and we had door-to-door Mormons. And so I invited them in because I knew, like, at the time, I wasn't a Christian. I didn't believe in the Bible or anything. And I thought Christians were wrong, but I knew Mormons were super wrong. And so I invited them in and debated them about everything they believed, and all the contradictions between the Book of Mormon and the Bible and all of these things I knew about. And they actually kept coming over week after week for about 2 or 3 months. They'd come in. I'd give them some ice water because they're not allowed to have soda or coffee. And so they go there, and at the time I had a St. Bernard, so they would hang out, pet my St. Bernard, and I would just debate everything they believed. And during that time, I had to read the Book of Mormon and read the Bible for myself to like plan ahead for those debates. And through reading the Bible by myself, that's when I became a Christian again. When I was able to separate it from church dogmas and traditions and all of that bullcrap. So that's how I became a Christian. I decided, like, hey, I'm good at this stuff. And so
right.
I eventually started, like, I was still working in a church as an atheist, but just because that's what I knew. And now I was like, okay, for sure, now this is what I want to do. So I got my bachelor's in religion and theology, and I started at a Christian social work outside of college. I worked in a bunch of churches and denominations before that. But yeah, I've worked in Southern Baptist, American Baptist, non-denominational, Assemblies of God, and the Salvation Army, all before I graduated, because we moved around a lot. And so I got a lot of church experience. And then I found out, my first job outside of college was a Christian social work, which was like the work was good, and I got to do a lot of stuff on my own, but like the bureaucracy was such horseshit that I hated it. And that was like my first social work job. So when I left there, I actually went to a secular social work job, and I'm like, wow, we have rights. This is weird. And so I kind of stuck with secular social work because I felt like it was helping more than the church, on top of, like, you don't have to deal with the holier than thou church bureaucracy. So that's why I stuck with secular mainstream social work.
And then you found out about the government. No.
Oh yeah. I'm mad at the government for turning a blind eye to that first job. Yeah, I couldn't get unemployment. I couldn't get anything from there because there's no records. So it was crazy. Yeah, because there was like 6 or 7 months between that job and me actually getting another one. And I was horribly underpaid.
How long have you worked with the company you work with now?
When did I get hired? April or May this year. But I've had 2 or 3 jobs in between those. So I usually work for a place about a year and then I move. And I'm like, I don't do it on purpose. That's just kind of how it all works out.
So
that's how it is for me too. I move constantly. I've lived in 9 different places in 7 years.
That's crazy. Yeah, you beat me for sure. I'm very good at doing my 1-year lease and then moving.
How many times have you moved in your life, Corey?
I can't count. I honestly, it would take me to get a calculator out.
Is it close to 20, would you say?
Probably a little more than that.
Yeah, because I'm probably up there with you. So by the time I was 25, I probably moved about 19 or 20 times. Most of which was before I even moved out on my own.
Yeah.
Mine was both. I was like 17 times before I moved out.
Oh, nice.
I moved once when I was a kid, and then it just, like, I moved out and met my fiance, and then that's when the moving started. Just so much.
I was born in Minnesota, but then we lived in a whole bunch of areas. So we lived in like 3 different houses in my hometown, and then we lived in like another place in St. Paul, and then we moved to Taiwan, and we lived in like half a dozen places in Taiwan, like probably a little more than half a dozen places there. Then we came back and moved like 3 more times. and then I moved out with who was my ex now ex fiance at the time, and then I moved away on my own. And yeah, I mean, I tried counting it once. It was like somewhere around like 18 times in total or something. It's just crazy.
Yeah, that's great. I would have to get my calculator out to give you an accurate number, but we moved for good reasons, I guess. My mom kept getting promotions and climbing the corporate ladder of telecom, and like every 6 months to a year, she would get a new job with a bigger pay in a different state, and so
the longest
did that a lot too.
The longest my family ever stayed in one place was in the first house my parents bought, which was like 3 years in one place. 3 years was the longest. The rest was no more than a year and a half. It was interesting. So it was like the place we stayed the longest wasn't even that long. But anyways,
it takes a toll on you because like you can't it's hard to make friends and it's hard to get employment and just it sucks after a while.
It does. I just know that. Well, with my parents, I don't know exactly. I mean, I was too young to really understand, but I know for me, it was definitely interesting. Like I was just used to like moving around a lot. I mean, once I was back in the States in 2005, I went to the same school all the way till graduation. But I moved. We moved around here in the States a couple times during that, so I had to like change where I was, I guess. I don't know, different school bus. I had to go through open enrollment once. So just being just outside the school district going to school. But no, I was bringing up the whole thing with Corey and your social work. Like, so because you primarily just deal with people who are going through probation, right? Do you deal with any other clients who are just getting help? Like,
yeah. So yeah. I think I said it before. I don't remember, but my company is 2 branches. There's a mental health branch and a substance abuse branch. And so I work for the substance abuse branch, and about, I would say 2/3 are mandatory court clients, and the other 1/3 are people who come in on their own, voluntarily help. Yeah.
Do you get people like who are, because you said opiates?
Yeah, that's the big one. I've had a client die already this month, so.
Jesus.
I can't really give more info than that, but yeah.
Painkillers?
Huh?
Do you deal with clients that are like basically addicted to like prescription painkillers and stuff?
Yeah, everything. This one was a heroin user.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, OD'd out of rehab.
Heroin usually comes after the pills.
So yeah, when Caitlin and I were at the Minnesota Libertarian Party convention, and we got to see them. Well, we can talk about her, right? Yeah, it's on. Kara. Yeah. So Kara, what's her position now? She's like a city council of one of the big cities in Minnesota.
Yes, she's a city council rep.
Yeah, so she was one of the speakers, and I'd say her was one of the better talks that they gave. Basically, she talks about kind of what's known as like the new drug war. For the longest time, it was always just like, what was it? Like pretty much just like, well, the drug war as we know it is what you hear about the most, but there's not a lot of people that hear about this new one where it's the whole thing with the supposed opioid crisis with pain, prescription pain medication.
Basically, doctors are cutting pain patients off, and it's causing them to turn to heroin. It's causing them to turn to the harder stuff because they actually need the pain pills. Yeah. But it's because of these, bureaucratic regulations put in place by people who aren't doctors that are making people want to either kill themselves or get on heroin because they're cut off, like cancer patients. And they always say like, oh no, cancer patients aren't going to be affected. They are. Every single one of them. I mean,
basically, the pain medication that typically is like helping people manage their pain, doctors are prescribing less and less, in some cases completely cutting them off, because it's like if they prescribe too much, like a certain board will start to review them and could like take away their practice. So doctors are like being basically was de-incentivized from like prescribing any drugs. They just don't want to do it. It's better.
Which sounds good to, anyone who's against, big pharma and all their practices, but people still need them. Like they need their pain meds. People who are, chronic pain patients, whether it's cancer, whether it's an injury, whatever it is, you can't, cut that off and not expect dire consequences. But nobody gives a shit. So.
People turning to heroin and they, unfortunately will maybe overdose on heroin itself or get that one dose of heroin laced with fentanyl. And there's that too.
Yeah.
That's the new drug problem now. Because I talked to Kara afterwards and the whole thing was with my dad. He pretty much passed away right as those policies started to come into effect. So I never got to see that with him. Like he was on pain medications and stuff. And he passed away, and then it was like, oh, that's why I never heard of this, because it wasn't directly affecting me. So you don't really hear about it beyond people who have been involved in this.
Hey, I'll be right back in like 30 seconds.
Okay. Gotta take Bowser out? I don't know. He's got a big dog named Bowser.
I just have a bunch of cats. I hate
typical.
Cats.
I'm just kidding. Crazy cat.
I hate them so much, and they stink. And they get their fur everywhere, and it's disgusting. But my fiance likes his cat. That it was a stray who had like 2 litters under our porch at this house we were renting, and he finally like brought her in. And then she abandoned like one of her kittens on my doorstep, and it was freezing to death. So I took it in. So he's my son. I do like that cat because he acts like a dog.
So I make sure we are live.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure. So I was like,
yeah,
we don't want to talk too much.
So my cat, Furry Rothbard, he was the coolest name. He acts like a dog, so he's cool. Like I like him. But then the mother cat, she just keeps dropping litters, just one after another. And every time I take her in to get fixed, they're like, "Oh, she's pregnant again." Like, shit. So I have cats. I have tons.
Call your cat slut. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, she is. She's a giant whore.
I just remembered right after Corey left. You guys are Corey. How into Magic the Gathering are you?
Oh, I actually sold all my paper, so now I'm just doing Arena online. But a new set just dropped a couple days ago, so I've been playing that daily.
Have you got a bunch of cards from Throne of Eldraine yet?
Oh, of course. I have a $150 budget.
They're really cool.
Set drops. Yeah.
Like I love the artwork and stuff. It's really cool.
She was messaging me yesterday, like, do you play this? And I'm like, oh, let me look this up. And I'm like, doesn't work for Mac. And then I tried.
You can hack it.
It will soon.
There's a way to hack it.
It's an open beta, but it will.
I tried. I looked up all the different ways, and it just kept freezing up. And I'm like, if I keep messing with this, it's gonna like do something to my computer. And I don't.
I'll send you someone's way who hacked it.
Buy a shitty $200 notebook. It's worth it.
Yeah,
it's not graphics intensive.
Well, yeah, no, I'm on a desktop here, but it's just I looked up all the news and they've been promising the Mac release since last year.
Yeah, but it's still an open beta. It's gonna go live, I think, in a couple weeks, like official. They said that's the next update after that is supposed to be Mac. So,
but they said that back in April.
Yeah, I know, but they re-announced it, so now it means something.
If it's for real, guys.
But yeah, I mostly play graveyard decks. That's my favorite.
I hate you. I hate those fucking decks.
Hey, I have no problems with you as long as you don't play counter spells. That's all I care about. Counter spells is the bane of my existence. Because I just want to do
okay, so I made my very first deck I made was an Azorius deck, and it was really, really cool, and I was winning with it. And then
wait, did it have counter spells?
Constantly. So I was like, all right. So I looked at it, and I figured the combos I was doing was actually better with blacks, and now I have Orzhov life gain deck that I made.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's way different than white blue. That's way.
Yeah, because I was trying to do these combos with like life gain and with Impassioned Order and Ajani's Pride Mate. So it was just like bam,
but that just rotated out. You can't even use it anymore. That's the sad part.
Yeah. Well, anyways, it's a lot better with black. So I started doing that with black, and it's awesome.
Oh yeah.
So I've been kicking ass. Like almost every match I get in, they forfeit. So I'm like, fuck yeah! Like I'm a new player, like just kicking ass.
Yeah, we'll have to play sometime then, so I can.
Yeah.
Play real Magic. So I can...
Oh boy, what have I started? Yeah, because Corey here was on a show, Masculine Geek, and I didn't even know, like, you went in depth in like the Magic
make money
Gathering.
Yeah,
the economy of Magic the Gathering, people that basically make money like they're trading stocks.
Yeah, it's a full-time job, even more so. Most people who make money off Magic do about 60 to 80 hours a week of Magic. So it's
It's a
madhouse.
How do you make money off of Magic?
Oh my God.
Magic.
Am I gonna do this spiel again? Maybe we can send you the link. I don't know if I have it in me.
Well, it just that got my
what
attention.
I remember,
because I've been playing nonstop for days.
So people play tournaments, and the best decks that win in those tournaments become popular for a short period. So people basically are trying to predict what decks are going to win. Mm-hmm. So they basically buy up those cards leading up to the tournament and hope that they can sell some of those cards at an inflated value to make money.
Like paper cards and shit.
Yeah.
No,
I don't.
Fuck with Arena, but there's 3 Magic clients. 2 of them make money. Arena's pretty much free.
Yeah.
So, but the old Magic clients, they have a ticket system where $1 equals 1 ticket, and they'll buy like 50 copies of one card for 5 tickets. And then if they're right and that becomes a new popular deck in the format, they can sell them for 20, 25 tickets a piece. Yeah. And so you're like quadrupling your
stonks.
But yeah, to make money. Yeah.
Or people that build decks to beat the decks that won the tournament, that makes money too. And
the meta is usually rock, paper, scissors. So there's always.
And you were saying.
I don't have time for all that.
They have whole networks of content that's kind of like some of these like economics channels you can watch, like
like Bad Money.
Yeah. But for Magic the Gathering.
yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and there's a guy named Alpha Investments, and he's like the #1 guy. But he does all the buy and sell trades for the old cards that are thousands of dollars. You know, like a Black Lotus can get anywhere from like $10,000 to $30,000 per card. So he trades in those.
But if it's not allowed in tournaments, why are people still buying them?
Well, it depends on the tournament, and it is a collector thing. Kind of like people just like fancy, I don't know, samurai swords and stuff. Even though you're not planning on killing somebody with the samurai sword, people still want them, right? It's one of those kind of things. It's kind of like a status collector thing.
I have a total of 90 paper cards to my name. I'm probably not going to go too crazy with that.
Yeah.
I got the Planeswalker deck from Eldrine the other night. I went to the game store.
I haven't seen those yet. I've been wanting to look at them.
I got Oko, and it's a decent deck, but I don't really like Simic. So, but the cool thing is with the Planeswalker decks is it comes with the code to upload to Arena. So
yeah, that's the only reason people buy them right now, because they're completely useless in an actual tournament.
Are they?
Yeah, you won't even win your local store, let alone a tournament.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, I don't know anything about playing paper decks, like at all.
Yeah. So paper decks, the only time they're good is, so a deck is 60 cards, right?
Yeah.
And occasionally, like maybe once or twice a year, they'll make a deck, and like all of the decks always have like 5 exclusive cards only from that deck as like a money grab. And maybe once or twice a year, one of those cards does see standard play, like in tournaments. And so people start buying out those Planeswalker decks and then selling those individual cards for the whole price of the deck. Because people will be going so deep into those. And so that happened once with a Chandra card where it was like a 2-mana instant that dealt 4 or 5 damage, which is really hard to find, but it was only in Planeswalker decks. So people were buying like 20, 30, 40 decks at a time just to take those 2 cards out and sell them for more than the whole deck is worth.
Wow.
Yeah.
We are talking about everything on the stream today.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's
magic is all I've been doing like for the last 3 days, so I'm fine talking about.
Oh no, it's not that. I've been here. Well, of course I've been here the whole time. I think we started with we talked about the Joker movie, and then we talked about a bunch of other
I'm
movies.
excited for that. That's going to be really good.
Well, so I talked about the security risks people are worried about, like with like possibly issues.
There's probably going to be a nut job who wants to shoot up a theater and is going to use
because they think the Joker is like the incel's wet dream or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Which I don't get, because he's not like he's with women in the movie. He's not being rejected by women. He's rejected by society.
Yeah.
Which causes him to turn into the Joker.
Right. But I don't see why incels would hold him up as some, great thing, because clearly not being an incel would be the cure to his madness or whatever. So,
well, it's just it's black pill. It's
right.
like a black pill personified, but like so it is Bowser.
He does this when he's bored. And he needs attention.
Aw. My cat does that. Very, very Rathbard.
Is your cat 146 pounds?
No, he's not. Thank God.
He just the dynamics a little bit. It hurts. He's got some giant monster like saber-toothed claws.
Aww.
You don't cut his claws? You don't like trim them or anything?
No, you won't let me even if I wanted to. I'd get bites on the face. He's
wow. No, but he's this black pill. I saw this whole video, actually. I got really into I thought it was really interesting. This guy basically analyzed how the Joker, like all these villains that Batman comes across are, have some sort of like mental thing going on, like whether it's mental illness or just they all have something that just makes them, off. But no one really understands what the Joker is. Because this guy basically did a video and he was like exploring it, and he said apparently there's this condition called supersanity that the Joker is possibly experiencing, where it's like, because just the way his character is portrayed, it's like at least in the comics, like the way the original portrayal of him, he's like overly aware of reality, of just how like it's like almost like an enlightened black pill.
Yeah.
Almost, if that even makes sense.
No, it does.
Which is what it is. It's like that's why he's so weird, because he's not really crazy, because there's nothing that really labels him as exactly crazy.
Well, I think the mass murder that probably qualifies.
Well, that qualifies, and like, but I mean, just when they look at it from a mental health, like he's not exhibiting like purely like lining up with anything that like makes him like insane. They said super sane. I'm like, well, what does that even mean? Like, basically, too objectively like driven for his own good. Because like Black Pill,
no, that makes sense.
Black Pill has like an objective twist, but it's in a very negative sense. So you tend to see things as very
objectivism, not even once.
I mean, I see it. I mean, I see it as like when people talk about like, selfishness for the good of others. Like if you believe in like building a business to help people have jobs so they can like function in society. I see that, someone talking about how like it's better to give someone a job than to give them money, so that they I mean, you can still help people. It's just the overall like good it can do for someone to have
selflessness over selfishness, because is there any really selfless acts that people do?
Right.
Sam Harris predestination type stuff.
I love that. It's always a good topic of conversation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have a big rant on this, but I won't go that deep, but to me, it sounds stupid, and I say it that way on purpose. But like, if you're not having an existential crisis at least once or twice a month, like you're not thinking hard enough.
I think I've gone way above the existential crisis, and I've just accepted it that there is no fate, there is no purpose, and it's just life is what you make it. So you just it's all about self-responsibility. Like
So-
I think I've ascended to the level above existential crisis, and it's just an existential nightmare now, where I just accepted it and like, you know what, it's fine. Like nothing fucking matters and everything matters. Like whatever.
Yeah. But if that's the Joker philosophy, what separates you from the Joker then? Why aren't you a clown with a knife?
Oh, boy.
I got kids. I can't go to prison.
I mean, like, so do either of you guys know, like, have looked into like absurdism?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
That was my next jumping point. But yeah, you got ahead of me on that one.
Well, so like Caitlin, like Killian had me on his podcast to talk about absurdism. And it's like so absurdism is supposed to be the rebuttal to nihilism. Like nihilism is basically looking at life as like, well, I mean, the simplification is just, it's pointless, nothing matters. So just live this nihilistic lifestyle of like just kind of doing whatever.
It's like Kierkegaard without the faith.
Right. Honestly, that's the thing. Yeah.
Like nothing matters. Yeah. But it always kind of looks at it in a negative light, like nothing matters, so why do anything? Like I don't see it that way. Like, yeah, nothing matters, but that kind of gives you freedom to do whatever you want in life. You're not, playing to fate. You're not trying to fulfill some destiny. Like do whatever the fuck you want, and that's great.
Right.
That sounds more existentialist.
So yeah, absurdism is supposed to be a branch under existentialism that basically, like, through observing the absurdity of existence, like it acknowledges that like there is no objective like purpose or meaning, but it also allows for you to like search and find your own meaning. But like living out as if there is meaning, but it also, like Camus will say, like the pursuit of purpose or meaning is absurd. So it's like this weird limbo.
Yeah, kind of weird.
Right back to the Joker.
Yeah.
Where it's like you live
of weird, philosophies.
Yeah, you can live out like your own meaning without like feeling any pressure or need to like have your foot solid on something. Like, oh, my purpose is this. Like you can have that, but it's not like so strong that you're like, like some people have single-minded purpose, whereas it's like I see it as like, I have a general thing I want to do. I have some goals, but I'm not clinging hard onto some purpose where it's like,
right. You're not suffering for some made-up purpose. Yeah.
Right.
But to me, it almost feels like, so it's going to sound out of left field, but I could explain it. But to me, existentialism is kind of like intellectually lying to yourself, though. Does that make sense?
What is up?
How's it going?
Buddy, I've missed you so much.
I'm glad to have some time to be able to check in with y'all, and happy birthday, Amos.
Yes.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Yeah.
Has it been a good one?
Big 27.
Not much has happened today. We did a regular show this morning on our podcast, and then I pretty much took a nap and did this. So
good day.
Well, it sounds like a good day.
I had plans the night before, which didn't quite play out. I found out the person that I was supposed to meet, their phone died, so I couldn't. So the goal was, let's just say, to indulge.
Press F.
Yeah, the goal was the night before to indulge in one or two different things that would just make me basically pass out. And that didn't quite play out that way. I pretty much went to bed completely sober and was kind of disappointed, but whatever. Next weekend is a coming. No, frame
it as you got a head start on sober October.
Dude, that's a thing.
Yeah, Joe Rogan started it.
Really?
It's kind of
is that?
November or No Shave November? They now have sober.
Yeah.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
so No Shave November or Movember or whatever is supposed to raise awareness for like prostate cancer. So what's this? But what do I have to give up alcohol to raise awareness for?
Oh, it's not alcohol. It's not alcohol, nicotine, and caffeine.
Like
And-
so, yeah.
No,
so
no, no,
Rogan-
no, no. Hold on.
For a month.
That's
And it's
stupid.
really just to prove you're
No,
not a pussy.
So Rogan did this. He started a couple years ago. Basically, him and all his comedian friends go sober for a whole month. Like no caffeine, no drugs of any kind.
It's weed,
No weed either.
Well, yeah, I think that was a given after
Yeah.
you said nicotine. So
So basically,
I got
and then like him and his friends, I think last year they did a competition. So they all had like the smartwatches that measure like your athletic, like physical activity, and they were all competing to basically like see who basically gets the most points in this app that measures how active you are. Obviously, Rogan won, but Rogan was like coming out with crazy stories. He would go like 8 hours on a stair stepper.
just to wait and rub it in people's faces.
Oh, he was so far ahead of them. But like the weird thing was because he was so fit, he would have to work really, really hard to get points.
Yeah.
Whereas like
Right.
his friend Bert Kirshner, who's just fat, would climb a mountain and just skyrocket in points.
Yeah.
So they had this little competition, like, and then they were all connected to each other, so they could like when someone was working out, the other ones were notified. And they could monitor their progress live. So they would like wait till everyone went to sleep and then just go hard on getting a lot of points to try to catch up.
that's kind of an interesting app. Like if you have like a accountability, like not workout partners, but accountability partners, like to make sure like you work out or like you keep tabs on each other if you're not like able to go to the same gym.
Because then you can't lie that like, oh yeah, I totally did my workouts yesterday.
That's the the point of an accountability partner. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you can't lie.
Oh damn. Can you imagine though? Like we have things on our wrists now that have the ability to send our designated friend. Like, it'll automatically brag to our friends that we're like, oh yeah, I ran a 5K today. What did you do? It'll automatically do that.
I don't see that as a bad thing. I think that'll help a lot of people if you're hyper competitive, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I'm in a contest right now. I'm about to start a second one, Sober October, with my brother tomorrow. So,
Oh boy.
yeah,
Well, good
my
luck to
family
you.
is very competitive.
You have more resolve than I do.
I
couldn't do it.
guarantee you after you do those 8 hours on a stair stepper, you're gonna want to have a beer.
No,
would.
I mean, no, that was just Rogan, like basically
Yeah.
trying to flex on the other guys. But he basically went so hard on the stair stepper that the steam that came from his body set off the smoke alarm in the gym.
I don't believe that for 1 second. Oh, come on.
I mean, he posted pictures of the sweat he like put out, and it was like just puddles. And I mean, if you
weight cut, yeah.
But I mean, he's like Jocko Willink level of just like, I'm gonna like work till I can almost die every time I work out.
And I think that man is just a sweaty man because I've watched some of his stand-ups and like his shirt is like completely soaked by the time
Those
he's done.
spotlights are pretty warm too.
Oh, I understand like being on stage, it's very warm, but man, I don't know.
I've seen comedians that weren't that fit either. They're just up there and they just have like a beach towel just ready to go.
Are you sweat shaming right now? How dare you?
Looking at you, Gabriel Iglesias.
But
where's the flag button?
Oh yeah. The flag button. No, we were just talking about absurdism, Chris.
And all that good stuff.
All that philosophical stuff.
Absurdism.
So we talked about the Joker movie, which led to talking. Oh, that was weird. Joker movie, which led to talking about incels, but then it brought it back to talking about the Joker and like. There was this video I saw that tried to like pin down like what exactly is wrong with the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the other Batman villains all have these like specific kind of like mental conditions you can kind of pin on them, whereas the Joker is like is a really weird fit. I mean,
Hmm.
granted, he murders people. We know that, but it's like that doesn't like a lot of these people murder. A lot of these villains murder people. So what is he? And there's this video that I saw. It basically tackles how he's what's called super sane.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that before, attributed to the character of Joker. But I don't know. I would have to see. I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist or anything like that. But I'd have to see the movie to pin down what this portrayal of the Joker.
Well, yeah, this was more focusing on like the overall portrayal and like the comics.
Okay.
Like what his original character kind of was played out, and because I said it's kind of like an enlightened black pill. He's so aware and objectively driven that he's aware of everything, and everything just seems so pointless, which is hence the clown persona.
I don't think that would single-handedly contribute to whatever is happening to him. You know what I mean? Like, it can't be just that. It has to be, that coupled with, I don't know, borderline personality disorder or other things on top of it. It can't just be like, oh yeah,
No. It's not that he's too woke, because woke has a whole bunch of other meanings to it. But I mean, he's too aware of what is going on that that it becomes so pointless. Like it's almost like I don't know if you want to say it's like a nihilist Buddha.
Deep nihilism, yeah.
Like a deep nihilist with a clear mind somehow.
Well, nihilism is just that's not getting on the line of like why he is the way he is, because nihilism is a conscious decision or a conscious belief, I guess.
I would disagree with that. I think it's relatively objective. I don't think it's that subjective.
Like, so I'll just say
get to that conclusion. Yeah.
People that I've talked to,
I was trying to say that it was, I don't know, that the arrival at it was an objective decision at one point in time, I guess.
Like, you need to decide to be nihilistic in order to be nihilist,
or recognize that you are.
I think you have to be like, oh, I'm a nihilist to have those thoughts. Like, you just have those thoughts.
You don't think nihilistic tendencies could just come about without you really acknowledging them?
No, I mean nihilistic tendencies, but if we're talking about the like what nihilism actually is itself, it is a belief system. It's not a mental disorder.
Oh yeah, adopting the belief system is one thing, but just being nihilistic as a person.
Okay, having like nihilistic tendencies is what you're talking about. Okay, great. I don't know. I think going back to what Caitlin said, I don't think it can actually be pinned down to like one thing. It's really hard to think that
it has a lot to do with trauma, right? You know, everyone handles trauma differently. Everyone handles different mental disorders differently. You know, it manifests itself differently. So even if you have like a combination of certain mental disorders on top of a early childhood or late adolescent trauma, you're going to have a completely like just unpredictable reaction to that. Like you can't predict how the brain's going to, so you can't pin it down and be like, oh yeah, he's like super sane or he's this, because everyone has a completely different reaction to these kind of disorders and traumas and everything.
So right. And it's kind of going back to what
of whatever happened to him.
Anyway, it's kind of going like on the same vein of the most recent South Park episode with the Mexican Joker, because what's that?
You still watch that?
Yeah, I watched the new one because people were saying
I didn't even know.
I watched a podcast about it. I didn't even watch.
But people were saying it was crazy. But it's kind of like what you're saying, where Kyle's explaining to the ICE people that like you lock kids up like this, and then stuff happens, and they're like, well, what kind of stuff happens? And then he kind of names off a couple things, like, you know, the trauma can induce all these different kinds of things, and then the ICE agents are like, so you mean like we're creating a Mexican Joker? And then he's like, no, that's not what I said. Like they immediately went to like the craziest thing is going to happen from like this sort of experience. And it's kind of like going on what you're saying, like everybody experiences trauma differently. You know, some trauma is going to be worse for some people than others. You know, all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
The thing is, though, is no one really knows the Joker's true backstory. There have been attempts to kind of explain parts of it. And this movie is like one of those, but like according to the comics, no one really knows. No one even knows what his real name is. That's the weird thing too.
Yeah.
No one knows the guy.
Didn't they figure it out and they're revealing it in this one? Because it was mentioned before in one of the comics.
There have been like...
Yeah, but I think every comic they gave him a different backstory just to make it more vague, right?
I've heard some people will say, like, they've read some of the comics will say, like, they'll give a backstory, but then they'll kind of add a little bit, like, well, we don't really know if this is what happened.
Yeah, it's all guessing.
Like, and then there's, like, and it's because, like, Gotham gave, like, one version of the Joker, and then, like, obviously the Dark Knight trilogy, no one really talked about his backstory there, because he always changed the story of how he got the scars. You know, so there's all these different things, and then I've seen like the animated Batman
a defense mechanism in the trilogy. That was a defense mechanism, and that stems from usually early childhood or mid-adolescent trauma. So I'm guessing it's a pretty gruesome backstory based off of the trilogy.
But then, like the animated series, they talked about how, and then the movie that's coming out now kind of talked about him being basically a failed comedian that had a really weird sense of humor, and because he kept being rejected, that eventually just started, like, you kind of see him slowly turn into like the Joker. He starts laughing and doing just crazy stuff. Apparently in the movie he does come across the Waynes. You see they've shown in some of the trailers, he comes across, like, he talks about Thomas Wayne, which is Bruce's dad.
Father. Yeah.
His
father.
His Furger.
I wonder if they're going to introduce the Institution and Harley Quinn, like maybe towards the end.
Well,
maybe it's like an after credits.
Yeah.
Like, that would be kind of cool. Like, you see him in an institution and then, like, she walks in as a nurse. Like, that would be pretty cool. I don't know. It's like leading into how
this one. That's the dream. We need more movies that have bad guys winning in the end. That's what I declare. I'm sick of good guys always winning. Those are important movies.
Well, then you should probably watch the new, like, Watchmen series on HBO.
Oh, they have a new series?
Yeah, it's a new HBO series that's coming out.
You should watch more scary movies.
Yeah, there you go.
Win a lot.
Jason wins like every time.
Survives.
Don't watch the Scream TV series, because they turned Scream into a TV series on MTV, and it's absolute fucking garbage.
Oh, it's on MTV, of course it is.
Yeah, and you even take out like it was made for MTV, so it's gonna be kind of shitty and like a teen drama. So like you take out the expected shittiness of that, and it's still really shitty.
Oh, nice.
Did you guys ever watch the movie? I think it's called Upgrade.
No,
I know of it, but I didn't watch it.
Basically, some guy gets in car accident, but he gets like some sort of a some sort of probe, something put in his body that basically upgrades his body, where he it's like a computer in his brain. It's an AI, but it's not like there's no like exoskeleton thing. It's like it's all inside his body. It controls his body to make him help him fight, respond to threats.
So it's like the $6 Million Man kind of thing.
Yeah, but there's no like if he gets hurt, it's like his body. There's no it's just a little computer on his spinal cord.
And he also paid for it with Bitcoin. Not dollars.
Not dollars.
The 8 Bitcoin man.
we can rebuild him. We have the blockchain.
10 Bitcoin man. Thank you so much.
But no. So let's just say in that movie, the bad guy wins.
Okay.
How he wins, you'd have to watch it. I watched some video clips of the movie because I was curious, and then it just showed the ending in one of the clips. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll see this. And then it just showed. I'm like, what? And then people in the comments like, what? That's interesting. The bad guy wins. Good guy completely just loses. Not even.
Yeah,
it wasn't even
watch more horror.
Huh?
I mean, the bad guy wins every damn time in horror movies. Watch Saw and Hostel. Those are good ones.
But doesn't somebody always get away at the end, though?
Sure, but they kill like 8 people. Like I'd say that's a win.
Yeah, I mean,
if they don't kill everyone, it doesn't count.
That's some good KDA right there.
But Caitlin, I got a question for you. Going back to the Joker, of course.
Yeah.
So you're assuming Joker has a mental disorder of some type, but really, isn't he just an absurdism evangelist? Because didn't you say you believe in absurdism?
I don't know.
What if he doesn't have a mental disorder? What if he's just right?
Probably have a mental disorder if you think it's okay and you rationalize it somehow that you can go out and kill people and it's not against your conscience.
Maybe it's just a social disorder.
Is there any rationality anyway?
I mean, but think about
lack
this.
Of rationality is a disorder. It's
but see, here's
disorder.
Here's the question: is killing another human a rational or kind of problem, or is it a moral problem? Because animals kill each other all the time. We're the ones that show that we're the one of the few animals.
Animals don't have morality. It's kind of.
But see, what if, like I said, this black pill probably had him not transcend, but basically move past morality, where he sees it, because pure objectivism has no real morality to it.
Yeah, because that's my main thought is when one person kills another person, the universe doesn't care, right?
Right.
In the full
he sees the whole universe is just don't care.
Yeah.
So
we're germs on a tiny planet. You know what I mean? We don't mean anything. Cosmic nihilism.
Well, okay, since the cosmos
lack of empathy.
Since the cosmos is chaos, is how we understand it to be chaos.
I think so if you lack that rationality and you lack the mechanism to morality and all that would have to be some kind of, you would have to be completely detached from empathy, and that would be a mental disorder. Not having empathy is a mental disorder. That's
true.
Being a psychopath.
Or people teaching empathy are just trying to keep you on the plantation, man. That's why they have Greta telling us about
it's a biological
trolling, Corey.
No, I mean, I always say things as asshole as possible, but I honestly think there's some truth to that. You truly believe in full objective nihilism. Why does empathy matter? Yeah.
Yeah, there's social cues and things like that. You should care about this, you should care about that, but there is an actual, natural empathy in the brain. It's a biological process.
But not everyone has empathy,
Now,
and people's definition of empathy is different.
And people that don't are psychopaths. And not all psychopaths are, murderous monsters. There's
but think of it this way though.
Functioning psychopaths out there, and it's, I wouldn't say fairly common, but it's still kind of common.
Can you be empathetic and kill another person?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
you compartmentalize it, but yeah,
right. And here's another thought. Here's another question: how old is the idea of empathy in the mind? In the human history, how old is the concept of empathy?
The concept of empathy?
I should see, or even how long have we observed this? Has empathy been part of our thing? Because there was a time when we were all just, savages, and we're all in tribes, and we just, if I went down a path and I saw
even gorillas and certain animals have empathy. You can see that they have empathy, they have sympathy, they have these natural emotions that are kind of attributed to humans, and that's where oh my god, look at the cute gorilla that cares that the other one fell down, that kind of shit. Some animals have empathy. It's not. I think it's a pretty
that's a human definition
prehistoric thing,
right?
What?
But isn't that just us implanting our idea of empathy on the animal?
I don't.
So you would say that in order to have empathy,
I don't think a human was hey, you need to care about that, and the animal's oh shit, all right, cool. I don't think that's.
Well, I think we're judging the gorilla based on what we think humans would do, right?
Oh, right. Well, yeah, but
it's we talked about earlier. It's like trying to make vegan cats. It's nonsense.
Right. Right, but some animals absolutely do have empathy, like ones that are pretty close to humans in the evolutionary timeline. And
I mean, for all we know, someone in the chat saying basically logic, pure reason, no morality, and that's what I'm saying is like the Joker is probably this like pure black pill objectivist type archetype that's just has no morality, but is and is just purely black pilled. I mean, but then he does kind of care about a handful of people every now and then. Like, so he cares about Harley Quinn to a point, right?
I think he cares about Harley Quinn to a point that it benefits him. He cares that she is there to benefit him, and if she is gone, the benefit is gone.
Yep.
Like,
Well,
it's a
what about the gorilla playing with the puppy?
I don't think that he actually gives any kind of selfless empathy towards Harley Quinn whatsoever. It's purely what he gets out of it. So, and that's totally, I mean, psychopath, that's totally within the realm of possibility of a psychopath. Like, they can keep people around for their benefit, and psychopaths can feel things for people. It's just the empathy that's gone. You can't, see someone get hurt and be like, oh, like, I feel that, I feel sorry for it. Like, they can't. They're just like, oh,
right.
Okay.
They're tools of usage, basically, like to your ends. Yeah.
Does the Joker care about anyone else?
Oh, the Joker. And everyone,
do we know if the Joker cares about anyone else?
Like, oh my God, I want a relationship like Harley Quinn and the Joker. Like,
no.
What is the matter with you?
Yeah, and all the girls that love Ted Bundy.
Why would anyone want an insanely abusive relationship like that?
Like after that Ted Bundy docudrama came out and people were like, oh my gosh, Ted Bundy is so hot.
Oh my gosh, Zac Efron is Ted Bundy.
Okay, but Zac Efron is really hot.
But I mean, Ted Bundy had a fan club and Charles Manson before the movies came out, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Charles Manson had 3 girlfriends in prison. That's crazy. 3 long distance girlfriends in prison. That's nuts.
I mean, heck, if he can get
the incels who can't get laid out.
Ted Bundy had a kid while he was in prison from conjugal visits.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
Now, does the Joker care about anyone else?
I honestly don't even think he cares about himself.
From the new movie, from what I can tell. His mother and this Batman days that probably got killed or something. There's some traumatic thing that happens with the girlfriend, I'm sure, because that just kind of fits the whole trauma scale of evolution into psychopath that seems to be coming from him.
Right. I'm
sure that he has cared about people, but I think that mechanism for caring is completely gone when you get to Batman days.
Right. Batman days, Dark Knight era. I think he cares about people, but he cares about people in a specific way. He cares about them. He cares about that they are too orderly and that they are not in line with the rest of the universe. I think that's kind of the logical side of this, where all of the universe, is chaotic, and human beings seem to want to be orderly, and that's wrong. That's out of sync with everything else. He is chaotic, so he feels like he's the only one that is real. I think that might be the logical, if there's any rational explanation to what he does, the things that he does. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, because I don't think he thinks chaotically. I think he thinks,
and so this is the thing
line
about
of thinking and the way he views things is very orderly. It makes tons of sense.
If he thought chaotically, if he thought chaotically, he probably wouldn't have arrived at this supposed conclusion.
That's the thing is
I think he probably thinks super rationally to himself. Like, it makes perfect sense to him. It may be chaotic to others, but to him, it's not chaos. I think to him, normal people are chaos. I don't know.
Well, from the Dark Knight stuff, he was the Dark Knight Heath Ledger Joker. He was all about like human decency and human organization in society is all a lie and a ruse, and he knew all humans were animals at the end of the day, and he was purposely trying to blow up, big government structures and put people in those positions, like the prisoners with the bomb on the ferry, and he's burning all the money just because to prove that all of it was fake, right?
Yeah.
Tearing down the sacred cows.
Yeah.
Pretty
And
much.
so, yeah, that's what I was saying. He's kind of an absurdist evangelist, where he was trying to promote nihilism and absurdism. and this is about to go to my favorite topic of all time. Amos knows this. Ted Kaczynski.
Oh, jeez.
I will bring him up every time.
He brought it up this morning on our stream, just out of nowhere. Ted Kaczynski, and I'm like, oh, Jesus.
That's because we're talking about the dangers of technology. But if you've read Ted Kaczynski's book, all of it makes sense except for the ending kill people part. And that's how I feel about Joker. Honestly, I think they both make a lot of points except for how they're evangelizing through murder. I think
their practice sucks, but their ideology is pretty cool.
Is Ted Kaczynski the guy who wrote Helter Skelter?
No, that's Charles Manson. Ted Kaczynski's the Unabomber that mailed all of the.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay,
and he was anti-technology.
You had this whole chat, didn't you? That was like saying like there's all these people in history that have had these like crazy. They're now seen as the crazies, but then when you look at like the early on things, it's like, oh, they're making sense. Oh, that's a good point, and that's a good point, and all of a sudden it's like kill all these people. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, where did it go wrong?
And then with Nietzsche, his books got more and more in depth and like really profound, and out of nowhere he just went mentally unstable.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's kind of that Super Saint thing you were talking about. Maybe they're thinking so hard and so rationally that they like broke their own loop.
If you guys haven't watched Mindhunter on Netflix, you probably should.
I binge that the day it comes out every time.
Oh, it's so. We're going through. My wife and I are going through the second season right now, and what you're kind of talking about reminds me of when they were interviewing Ed Kemper.
Yeah,
and like nice, real gentle giant kind of guy, was really good with the guards and all this other kind of stuff, and then his expression of like how he did things and what he felt is extremely like
rational. He went to the grocery store.
It's extremely rational, and or he thinks it's in his mind is extremely rational, and it's just it makes it creepy, from an artistic perspective. It's so creepy to see like somebody say that, but at the same time it's like this is kind of how these people or people like this think, or it's like this is just an irrational thing. Like, I
think Ed Kemper's very different than the other two we're talking about, because he did have like obviously documented mental and child abuse, right?
Yes,
you know what I mean. And that, but Joker, obviously, we don't fully know his background, and then Ted Kaczynski had a pretty normal childhood up until he went to college, and he was actually part of the MK Ultra program.
Yeah.
Except all the other college students in the MK Ultra program, where they did mental torture and experimented on them. Everybody else was like 20 or 21. And since Ted Kaczynski was so smart, he was in college at 16. So at 16, he went through a psychological torture experiment. And I think, and most people believe that that's what got him to so screwed up. But he had a higher IQ than Einstein. It was like 164 or something crazy like that. Yeah.
The man who knew too much.
On that note, I'm going to have to hop off here. My kid.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
So, yeah.
It was good to see you, Caitlin.
Yeah, it was good to see you too.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Talk to you guys later.
Have a good night.
You too.
Good night.
All right.
Good night.
But yeah, to me, there's such a fine line between like, and Amos, you talked about it a little bit, like creativity and how creativity is spurred into either genius or madness, right? So if you're a highly creative intellectual person, like your work is either going to be genius or madness. And the problem is that's only interpreted by the populace, not by them, right? And I think that's where Ted Kaczynski and Joker kind of blur that gap.
Possibly even Jackson Pollock fits in there a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know much of his history, but I mean, possibly.
He kind of had that same. I don't know too much about him, but what you just mentioned is like stands out to me. Is that was kind of because his art is, if you've seen it, it's like kind of absurdist. It's like it's just paint splatters, and that was kind of his philosophy behind that was that. Is it so much genius that it's madness, or is it so much madness that it's genius?
Yeah. Because I think, who dictates what's madness and what's genius is how open the rest of the population is to accepting that idea.
Right, yeah.
So, Ted Kaczynski was madness, but Einstein was genius. But Einstein talked about general and special relativity and how time dilation goes through gravity that we have no way to measure. It was all equations and guesses on a piece of paper.
And Alex Jones talked about how the water was making the frogs gay, and that turned out to be real. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, whose madness and genius is completely subjective to what the masses interpret, right?
Not saying that Alex Jones is a genius, by the way. By his own admission, he's a little retarded. So
yeah, one of the best clips
from Joe Rogan ever.
Gotta admit,
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit retarded.
They're so ridiculously high. That was the second time that they had met for a podcast, because apparently the first time they got so ridiculously high and drunk, they were just like babbling nonsense and like it couldn't keep it together.
Put that on my watch later.
Interdimensional. What is it? Interdimensional child molesters.
Interdimensional vampire pot-bellied vampire goblins are snatching people up. Yeah, it's just like
yeah.
So
how do we decide when he's crazy and when he's real? Right? We don't know. Yeah,
you just don't know.
Yeah. Just if there's ever a guy in Austria that's trying to get through art school, just let him get through it, please.
Or he might have Mexican Joker, because that's what happened last time.
I watched that. I was like, Mexican Joker? What? And then they have this like drawing of like a guy in a stereotypical like sombrero with like a mustache, but Joker face paint. And I'm like, what the fuck?
We do know something about his backstory from the Dark Knight series, though, too. That like he had an abusive father.
But see, it changed so many times, though.
Right.
He kept changing the story.
In that movie alone, he had 3 or 4 backgrounds.
Caitlin was saying, what if that was like some sort of defense mechanism to like help him rationalize
the way he was? Yeah, okay. That's
but we don't
possible.
know how the way he was, so I don't know how we can quantify.
I mean, Wilson Fisk had a more clear backstory.
Some say that Joker don't be like he is, but he do.
Amen.
I mean, you guys have seen like Daredevil and like Wilson Fisk's backstory, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's that's just clear and cut dry. Just yeah. We know why.
Yeah, is that where he kills his dad with a hammer or whatever?
Oh yeah. So his dad his dad was abusive, and his dad was like, because his dad was like just chasing like impossible things, and one day his son is just kind of like was this big kid, but like never really stood up to anyone or stood up to anything, and just one day just lost it, beat his dad. And then what was even weirder was his mom is just like, get the garbage bag. Like, what? She stepped in and like, okay, we're gonna like dump his body in pieces. What?
By the way, Kingpin is the definition of a blue-pilled alpha, by the way.
Oh Jesus.
He had that one-itis hard.
Yeah, he kept, I mean, like anytime anyone like insulted or even came close to like making his woman uncomfortable or anything, he just,
killed them.
Busts their head. You embarrassed me.
Yeah. Man,
what's a red pilled beta then?
That would technically be a choice, because there is such thing as beta game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, if you like.
Oh wait,
I don't know how to put it politely.
I was gonna say,
yeah, it's
Chris is so Corey Conk and I here we talk like red pill stuff with like intersexual dynamics, dating and stuff. People think it's tell, but it's like we don't hate women, actually. Surprise.
Oh boy.
It's just talking about a lot of these different things. So like there's a lot of these terms, because when he started talking like beta and blue pill, I'm like, oh wait, this is Chris what we're talking about.
Oh, I was talking more the red and the blue pill, like politically speaking.
No, so
Sorry, like how it's used in the Matrix, like sociology speaking, like you view the world as it is, and it's either the blue pill is like you
accept social conditioning, right?
You accept social conditioning and you have a relatively happy life. Ignorance is bliss, etc., etc. Or you try to see you constantly strive to see the world of how it really is, and you're never happy of what you find.
But see that the word red pill. So I talked about this.
Yeah, we did. Brooke. We talked about this morning. Yeah,
with Brooke, and it was just like everything has a red pill, which is so weird. It's like you got your 4 quadrants of your political compass.
Yeah,
every corner is a red pill.
Yeah.
So
everybody thinks they're the minority fighting the man, right?
Exactly. So there's the 4 corners are red pill, and then like some people are radical centrists, and somehow that's a red pill. So
everybody's average.
Exactly.
You're all half right.
Yeah, and then but when Corey and I talk like red pill, so it's
based off of Rollo Tomasi's book.
Rollo Tomasi has
okay, yeah, all right.
You know about that book?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
So it's basically kind of it's a red pill, but historically speaking, Rollo Tomasi got his beginnings on this forum right after the Matrix came out, and was one of the first to coin the term red pill.
Mm-hmm.
And it was used to kind of describe, at the time, it was a combination of anything between like self-improvement. It's like men trying to reclaim masculinity.
Right. Yeah. That's what I've heard. I've heard of it for too. Yeah. And like of course there's the documentary on Amazon it's on Amazon Prime called The Red Pill.
But
like if you look,
it's a whole thing. Yeah.
But then Cassie J's like boyfriend or fiance now, I guess, is like some of the most blue pilled people I've ever seen. Because so it goes into like intersexual dynamics. So that which touches on like pick up on stuff, body language. So you hear terms like hypergamy, female solipsism, all this stuff. It's mainly, it's a lot of guys that are basically trying to like be better men and also be more successful with women.
Yep. Yeah.
So Fisk is a blue-pilled alpha. He has alpha status, but his mind is very blue-pilled when it comes to women because he's so enamored and driven and just giving into one woman that like she's everything, which the red pill kind of calls one-itis. You're
or like the soulmate myth that you believe there's one out there for you and it'll be a perfect relationship.
He's literally given so much into her, like anyone who slights her or anything is like dead.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you kind of have, like a red pilled alpha would be like there's different interpretations of that, but like, in a way, Daredevil would be closer to kind of like a red pill alpha because it's like he's not really stuck with any one woman. Granted, there's circumstances for that, but like he's not like clinging to any one thing. Whereas like Wilson Fisk devotes everything to the one woman. He puts so much into things that actually can hurt him. Like he devotes so much to that like painting. Which was weird.
Yeah, like he was willing to give up all of his money, willing to go to jail just for one 40-year-old girl, right?
Yeah, one woman who whatever gave him the feel goods.
Yeah, I guess
that's the most PG way to say it. Yeah.
Give him inspiration to continue what he was doing, etc., upon ad nauseum. So, anyway, I'm actually going to head out for tonight. But if there's anybody still tuning into the stream, I'd like to announce that next week I will be starting a new YouTube channel called OG Liberty, and I'll be talking over current events, what's in the news recently. Exploring commentary from other people, mostly just sticking to the news, reading headlines, sticking to the facts. And I hope you'll all be able to join me. I'm on YouTube. The channel is up. There's just nothing on it right now. OG Liberty. Yep.
Are you going to be running it through Think Liberty at all, or is this just purely...
It's going to be, it is affiliated with Think Liberty. So Think Liberty is, I'm going to be a a contributor to the channel, it will be shared on all their social media, etc.
So it'll be one of the podcasts then.
It'll basically just be a podcast of my own, but it's it's a video oriented one, so it's not really a podcast. It's mostly a YouTube native thing. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And we'll see how long it takes before I get demonetized.
Oh, you got to hit 1,000 subscribers before you even.
I know. So I'm not even gonna make it.
And then once you get 1,001, they'll demonetize you.
Yeah, they'll be like,
you better keep those 4 pennies in check.
Hey, I've been doing this like 2 years now.
Yeah.
Still nowhere near 1,000 subscribers.
Oh yeah. For sure. I'm completely being facetious. So
yeah, Amos, you just didn't signal enough virtues yet. One day you'll get there.
Hopefully, I'll use all my signal cards and see if I can get there. But it's just, but do I need to do semaphore like the flags?
Yeah,
you know that I'm surprised that's not
admit your privilege in every.
I'm surprised that's not a meme. Like like a guy doing semaphore like with the naval flags, like virtue signal, like a meme format. Like,
make it happen.
Yeah, I guess somebody out there make it happen and then comment it on the stream. Anyway, guys.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it was good to see y'all.
Yep. Have a good one.
All right.
No, man.
One sec here. All right. Wow, I'm surprised. That's actually more people I thought that would come on.
Good stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like funny. I'm like, oh crap, he's talking about blue pill, red pill. I gotta explain this because there's like so many different circles of people that we have on the show. Like, we were just talking today. So we do our clips, videos, and our subscribes are for people who subscribe, and we touched on like maybe we should get like we need to get like a prepper on
terms,
huh?
A terms like a red pill glossary.
No. We need to get we need to get a prepper. Like people who prep for like a doomsday prepper.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about preparing people for the podcast. Like, no. You should know.
No, I mean, because it's like we'll talk about. I mean, it was honestly like the stream has been going today. We'll talk about like Joker once, movie here, another movie there, a show here and there. I mean, granted, we're with Brooke and I, we're a little more. We'll follow more of a. Kind of an outline, but it was like, it's like one moment we're talking about like movies and the Joker and philosophy, and the next moment we're talking about red pill and all this stuff, and it's and another moment we're talking about mental health. It's just like where we're going,
Yeah, you guys hitting on all the topics I actually know stuff about, so it's fun.
Well, when I had you on, I was like, okay, I'm like trying to connect everything, so then I just like I see you and Caitlin, and I'm like Magic the Gathering, and you guys connected. I'm like, okay. I got it.
Well, I mean, that's part of my job too, is being as, I don't want to say charismatic, but being as interpersonal as possible, right? You gotta find connections fast if you want to keep them on the hook for like actual therapy and getting their life better.
Right.
And a lot of this stuff they teach you is car salesman tactics, essentially, but you're selling them therapy instead of a car, right?
Right.
Yeah, counseling has a lot of car salesman tactics in it, surprisingly. So I had to get really good at those and learn how to get people familiar.
You've seen the car salesman meme, right? The guy slapping on the top of the car.
Oh,
this bad boy. So do you like you got to put like one of your client, like mental patient. This guy, so many issues in it or something.
Exactly. There's so many rehabs can fit in this trunk.
Or you could like play it, you could do a meme with that, just slap on the top, like, there's so many, I don't know, so many like recovery programs into this thing, and then like this person you're selling to is like your patients.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, are they patients or clients? Or are they
that's actually a hot button topic right now. The two words are clients or customers, which just chills my bones when people say that.
So with my job, actually, that's very similar. Actually, they're actually more clients or customers. I mean, granted,
but it feels gross. So calling someone a customer coming in to like get their life back in order. Like it just feels like we're selling them.
Oh yeah, for us it's closer to customer, but client is more fitting because of the long term engagement. Like where it's not just like a customer gives you the feeling of like a one-time thing. Like I walk into a McDonald's, I'm a customer. I could buy something and walk out. With what I do, it's more of there's an engagement over a period of time, multiple engagements on a weekly or a daily basis. That's as far as I can pretty much go with my job.
Yeah.
Because anyways, but yeah, so how is that like? Is it just a hot button because of like, is there some sort of ethics thing with it or some sort of?
Well, it's like the admin and the HR want us to use the term customer, but all of the actual workers with people refuse to say it because it just sounds disingenuous and gross when you say it.
Yeah, I can. Because it kind of devalues.
Yeah, this isn't a McDonald's, right? This is people's lives at stake. Like I had a client die this month. Like that wasn't a customer.
But I mean, client is PC today. I mean, client.
It's a neutral term, right?
Yeah, client is a neutral term, and for what I do, we have to use that because reasons. That's all I can say.
But yeah, like the term patient and customer both have like really weird connotations that like people don't like to say.
When I hear patient, I'm thinking like in a hospital setting. When I hear customer, I'm thinking purely a good or service being provided in a very like transactional way with not much of a what's the term I'm looking for? With consequences. As much like I buy a cheeseburger, I eat it. That's the only consequences. Very minimal consequences. On the other hand, you deal with people. There's consequences, because it can affect their life. One session can make profoundly good or bad, effect on them. So customer, is devaluing that. So client is just like because client is used in so many contexts.
Yeah, and like that's why we prefer it because it's pretty neutral. Like a client could be like a lawyer or a client could be a mental health or it could be anything, right?
Because if you said patient, it would actually acknowledge that there's some sort of illness, whereas really
there's something wrong with them. And then when you call them customer, it sounds like you just want their money, right?
But then when you refer to them, because a lot of the people you're working with, are they all mentally ill, or is it because you said you're dealing with people on like probation and stuff?
Yeah, well, a lot of them have co-occurring disorders, which is the PC term.
Okay.
For dual diagnosis. So yeah, you're not allowed to say dual diagnosis anymore. You have to say co-occurring disorders, which is substance abuse plus mental health. And so like
double whammy
75% of them are co-occurring.
You got to call it double whammy conditions.
Yeah. Big boom problems.
big boom problems.
He's got a big brain owie.
Oh, jeez. So bad. Like he's gonna be. Oh my god! Did you see the chat? Every time Conk speaks, I think I'm listening to Seth Rogen.
Yeah, I get that a lot. I sound more like Seth Rogen than Seth Rogen.
Can you do like a Seth Rogen impersonation?
I mean, I think I'm living it, but
you gotta do the. Yeah, see, him is like it's so dorky and weird.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do that. I used to do a mean Patrick Star, and I've never watched SpongeBob, but that was back in the day.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
Oh yeah.
No, this is Patrick.
It was like, yeah, Patrick, I'm mad. I'm mad too. What are you mad? Or no, he's like, well, why are you mad? He's like, because I can't see my forehead.
He's just like, is this the Krusty Krab? No, this is Patrick. Bam, slams the phone.
What are you, a weenie? He's just a big fat weenie.
Oh, yeah. But all right, well, we're at like a little after 3 hours. I'm surprised we went this long. Yeah.
I think I'm
going to wrap it up here a bit.
Let's do it. You don't want to hear my rant about how absurdism applies to Christianity.
Ooh. Actually, you know what? Do that quick, then we'll wrap it up.
Okay. So here's it goes. I'm going to wrap up Nietzsche, Kierkegaard, and Camus all in one.
Oh, boy.
All right. So I think the Bible promotes cosmic nihilism in that the material world is meaningless, right? It's completely the meaning world is completely amoral.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming this based off of all the evidences and scriptures I read, like they don't say money's evil, it's the love of money is evil. You know what I mean? And it's all essentially tools that could be good or bad, right? It's amoral. Like a dog could be your best friend, or it could bite you and give you rabies, right? Everything about it is amoral. It's non-meaningful. So I do believe in nihilism and absurdism, but you have to do the Kierkegaard's leap of faith to get past that. And how I explain that is Paul in 1 Corinthians, he talks about the world's wisdom versus the foolishness of the cross. And you are actually supposed to embrace foolishness. And that's why I think Joker is more Christian than anything. Because we're supposed to admit, and that's like that internal joy. And I wrote a paper on
man.
That.
Man.
Yeah, I got a really good grade because I went to a super liberal left-leaning college, but it's one of those liberals, so it's like, do whatever you want, man. It's all good with God. So I definitely pushed that to the limits as much as I physically could, and I wrote some bomb-ass papers.
Okay, did you really believe the Joker is more Christian, or are you just making the suggestion by making a very convincing conjecture? Like, if this connects here and that connects here, then this has to make sense. Kind of like...
I think I wrote it, and then I believed it after I wrote it.
I mean, is it more of like a comedic connection? Like, okay, for example, Daniel Tosh, the comedian?
Yeah.
So he says, we should... So he makes the joke like, we should actually thank... bin Laden, because without him, we would still be walking our friends or family members all the way up to the gate every time we took them to the airport. With what he did on 9/11, we just have to do barely a stop, kick him off at the curb, and we can drive right off.
That saved me 10 minutes of effort.
Yeah, but he said
you don't have to park anymore. You just kick him out.
So yeah, Brooke and I try to explain, like, comedy is like true, like good comedy. I see it as is making a connection between what is taboo and what is absurd, to kind of bring it together, to make the connection, to basically entertain the brain.
Yeah, and it's also the truth, right? Yeah,
and it also brings forth some truth because it gets people to really understand, really understand the absurdities of both. Of the world. So there's like an absurdism within it, like understanding of it. So, you hear, so Daniel Tosh in the same comedy special does the whole, like, New York gets all the cool plane crashes. And then he goes, well, I don't mean it like that, but you get what I'm saying. And if you really think, you go, okay, I do know what he's saying, but the fact that he made that super offensive, yeah. So you take a taboo topic and you take how absurd it sounds and you connect them and people laugh. Now, is he really condoning anything that he just said? No, it's just that. So that's how comedy is.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, look at the Bill Burr and the Dave Chappelle specials that just came out there. Everyone's really crazy over. There was a lot of really good jokes mixed with a lot of hard-hitting observations that probably a lot of people weren't thinking about it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, yeah. But I mean, do you really believe that the Joker has Christian qualities?
Yes. I'll mail you my college paper if I can find it. I had to cut it short because they had like a hard 3-page limit on that essay, and I definitely could have written 6 or 7. So what did you get out of nowhere? But I was comparing Batman and Joker, and all the pastors keep trying to be Batman. I was like, no, pastors should be Joker. And that was my argument.
How well did that paper do?
Oh, I got 100% plus. Like I said, that college was very open, and I definitely pushed it to the limit.
So were you kind of like Peter Boghossian and the grievance studies guys that wrote like the bullshit? Like you could, I mean, Not like it was, but I mean, you could probably write like those bullshit studies to like get peer reviewed into like social justice journals. Have you heard about this?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I started with doing. And then I ended up like making a good argument and convinced myself I was right. So it's kind of like that Mormon thing I was talking about. Like I debated Mormons just for the fun of it. And then from that, I actually found some really good truth.
Because like the Joker, like, I guess, I'm just thinking of from like movies. So like he burned money.
Yeah.
You know, because he didn't love it. Like he just wanted to like make a point. But then okay, so what about the actual like murdering and killing and all that?
Yeah. Well, there was a sentence in there that we should all be more like the Clown Prince of Crime, but with less murder. I think that was my final sentence.
Oh, to kind of like wrap that around, like, okay.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah.
It's not saying all of him is this Christian thing, but like there are parts of him that like
his philosophy is more in line with Christian thought than Batman's, is what I was trying to say.
What would happen if the Joker and Jesus met?
I think they would get along really well. I honestly do. How much did Jesus care about the government? Absolutely not. He didn't care. Right?
Well, the only time he was asked about it, he said, "Give to Caesar what is his."
Yeah, and they give to God what is God's. And that was like whatever, you know. I'm here to do my thing. It's like to me, that was the ultimate representation of fraying. Right.
This is so interesting. The first time on my show, I get to hear someone tell me that the Joker is more like Jesus.
Yeah, it's completely true. I mean, read. I think it's 1 Corinthians chapter 1 or 2. I'd have to look it up, but it talks about the foolishness of the cross, which is contradictory to the world's wisdom. And he's like, you know, and Paul essentially says, "Fuck it, like, embrace the foolishness." Like, where you know the world's, you know, screwed up, and the world's has limits. It can only go so far. So why don't we just embrace the foolishness of it, which is like the absurdism mixed with the leap from Kierkegaard.
Oh,
yeah.
Man. Well,
I can talk about it for hours, but
we'll have to do another episode about this then. We'll have to when we get Brook on. We'll have to have you convince him of this because I'm really interested to hear about this.
My other favorite paper I wrote is why the church congregation needs to be more like Slipknot.
Someone in the chat says Virgin Hegel versus Chad Nietzsche.
I haven't read a lot of Hegel, so I'm interested.
Well, I mean, there's the Hegel dialectic, which is an observation of history that understands that human progress is never directly linear. So, like, it explains like how we always take 2 steps back and 3 steps forward. So, kind of this people talk about the pendulum swinging. So, like this little social justice, you know, nihilistic sort of thing that's going on in society right now is just the swing of the pendulum. We'll eventually kind of break through that and move forward a little bit. There is going to be a backlash where there'll be like we'll just kind of back off a bit, like, okay, you know, we're a little crazy there with the gender stuff.
I mean, even going back farther, when I think about that, like every time we talk about human progress, like we don't know jack shit about Egypt or Aztecs or any civilizations before that had advanced technology that we still don't understand, right? We still don't know how pyramids were built. We still don't know how the Aztec city was like 1 million tons but still floated on a lake. Like, we don't know how to do that because we killed them all.
Right. Yeah.
Like we think we're so high and mighty on our intellectual, or like our age of enlightenment high horses, but like we still don't have the technology that some humans had 10,000 years ago. They were better than us in some aspects, and like we don't like to admit that because it makes us feel.
I mean, we were better than them at living longer.
Well, they had to fight saber-toothed tigers and shit, but their medicine didn't go as far. But they built freaking pyramids with manpower. Like, we don't know how to do that. We don't know how to
do. We just
no electricity.
We build bigger things with machines.
Yeah, but we still don't know. Like, if we think we're that far, why don't we understand the Aztec or the Egyptian technology? Right.
Well, there have been there have been understandings like it was probably like probably just took centuries to build some of these.
Yeah, but we don't know that for sure. There's actually a obelisk. Apparently, they're uncovering that's like 200 feet deep underground, and it was buried all at once, like 12,000 years ago. All the dirt's the same age, going down 200 feet. So somebody built an obelisk and buried it, like before Egyptians.
I mean, in those times when you had people with such absolute power, you know, I mean, when kings were believed to be gods, I think you can do quite just about anything if you like push your people hard enough. You know, I mean, you can already, and it's it's just, I mean, and this is taboo to say. It's like if you really looked at it, like with the technology and with the things they had back then, the only real way to like move anything big and do anything big was just slavery. Like you just had to do that, so they did that.
Well, that's our guess. We don't know for sure, right?
But I mean, yeah. You talk. The further back you go, the more tribalistic people become, and the more those tribalistic tendencies tend to manifest in some sort of social order. So you can.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that though. I don't think you can build the Egyptian pyramids out of tribes, right?
No. What I'm getting at is the tribalism that is there allowed and opened up the door for like basically. Where they could just subjugate whole groups and it was accepted. Whereas nowadays, it's like it was, granted, it was accepted a couple of 100 years ago, but it was a different way. Yeah, someone in the chat saying our concept of slavery is different from the ancient biblical kind, and that's a good point. Like, there's different, but I mean, I'm just saying is if it was more socially acceptable to be as tribalistic back then, and as driven by like just these basically very archaic social orders, they probably just saw slavery as a means to an end. Okay, we're going to take all these people, we're going to breed the hell out of them, and for generation after generation, they're going to build this big ass thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean,
but at the end of the day, it's us all guessing, though. We have no real evidence one way.
I mean, that would be the only way. I mean, it's just pure human muscle over generations enslaved to just build a thing.
It's kind of, to me, it's similar to what we're talking about, Caitlin, with the gorilla and the puppy. We're guessing based on our human thought right now, right? And that's why I feel like most of our churches are so screwed up, because we're trying to interpret the Bible as if it was written right now, Oh,
yeah, no, Brooke and I, when we were like ministers, we talked a lot about how like the Bible has to be understood. What is it? Audience relevance, just specific to how the letter was, because a lot of interpretations of the Bible, especially the epistles, get really screwed up when you really just have to understand like how would you
have to study the place it was written to understand.
Well, study who it was written to, but also like there should just some common sense. Like an epistle was a letter, so the letter was meant to just to be read as a letter. So understand who he's writing to, who's writing it, and what is relevant to the time period. And you just read, and then just pretend it's written. Then you kind of step into the shoes of, what those epistles were written to, and you kind of go, oh, okay. So like one of the things we did was like understanding like, okay, the Corinthian church. So we tried when we started to tackle like spiritual gifts. So people talked about spiritual gifts. There's that whole scripture that talks about like the word of knowledge and prophecy and all these the spiritual gifts.
Yeah.
But then you need to understand that the Corinthian church was considered the most immature spiritually among the churches.
Yeah. Corinth was Vegas.
Yeah. And so we basically said like, well, the spiritual gifts are for the spiritually immature. The greater, when we were getting into kind of the Pentecostal charismatic,
the tongues openly says it's the worst gift, and it's not that.
So it said the next level of like maturity and the gifts and stuff is basically where you're able to move in all of the gifts without need to like do all this other stuff, because we're all supposed to be Christ-like, and Jesus did just about every gift in the book, if you believe in that. And it was like in helping and understand like not every book was written to everyone equally. Like not every epistle was created equally to be taken the same.
Yeah.
You know, the knowledge and wisdom in Corinthians was not to be measured the same with the knowledge and wisdom in Ephesians. In Ephesians, because the Ephesian church was supposed to be the most mature, the most complete, like
it had a lot more of the deep theology. Right?
Yeah, and really what and if you look in that book, it's fairly basic stuff. It's very holistic understanding. It wasn't like here's all the little bits of things that God's going to give you.
There's a chapter in Corinth about like how to not sleep with your mom. You know what I mean?
But I mean, it's just only with.
Yeah, but they had some really extreme issues because Corinth had extreme issues because, like you said, they were so immature and so worldly, to use those terms. Because that was the basis. That's where all the prostitutes hang out and the gambling and all of that.
Oh yeah, and yet that book is praised as like, oh, that's the book that teaches us how to move in the gifts. It's like the gifts were supposed to be like entry level stuff. Ephesians was like, here's the deep understanding of you're supposed to be given every spiritual blessing in in every sphere of your life, kind of thing. That whole thing is like you were supposed to it was like I said, holistic understanding of like the complete Christian, whereas the Corinthians were like, we just want like fireworks basically of the spiritual life. We want like the highs and the lows and all the the like tongues, manifestations and stuff. That's very much fireworks and stuff, whereas the Ephesians was like a complete sort of understanding of like living out your life as like truly like spiritually, I don't know, mature people, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. It's been a while since I've talked a lot about a lot of this, but
yeah.
Anyways.
All right. Yeah, 3 to 4 hours. That's quite the podcast birthday.
Well, yeah, we did this one's not going on any podcast. This is just like we'll have it on the channel.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we're gonna do one for if Brooke is gonna be the guy that's just gonna go out and party. I kind of did that other days. But anyway, so to all the listeners, to all the watchers and the viewers that have joined us, thank you for joining. I know we got up to like 6 or 7 viewers at one point. Kind of a lot of people in and out, but thank you everyone for joining us. Of course, subscribe to the channel. Leave a like and comment below. Subscribe to the regular show. Like I said, this will not be going in any podcast form unless people really want it. But I mean, a 3.5 hour podcast would just be way too long.
Yeah. What are we, Joe Rogan?
Oh no, I got to get a can up. Yeah. But anyways, thank you everyone for joining us. We'll of course see everyone on our regular show on Thursday.
Blessed.
And